Hey, welcome everybody to the next level with Sodaron. Today we are going to review the LCK Summer 2024 match number 71 DRX vs Genji. Now, first off, in the LCK, we are now on patch 14.14. So I'm going to go ahead and get into some of the changes here, which I make these slides, and then on the Twitch channel and on the YouTube version, I go in and I give you these slides to look at. So when you're watching my VOD review or my review or whatever we want to title them, analysis review. I use the term VOD review, but I'm starting to think that's not good. You just call it review. So, or analysis, where we break these matches down. It's a lot of information to digest just watching the game on a broadcast. Sometimes not sometimes, takes multiple times watching just to watch 10 players and try to see what all they're doing at one time. So, this isn't like a complete analysis of everything that's going on. That's almost impossible. But here we can hold our hands together and I can give you my look at what's going on. I do have past coaching work experience back in 2022 with a team that won the summer championship in their region and then went to Worlds, and they won one game. But they were also in the group of death with DRX that won Worlds and Top Esports, which many at the time was the number one seeded LPL team. So, and then was it the number one LEC team at the time, Rogue? So the group of death. And the team was working with at least managed to get one win. Some will say there was a Karthus bug involved, but hey, they got a win. Some of you can't even get your one win of the day, right? So that's why I'm here to help you reach the next level with Sodaron. Now, I did give you a VOD last night where I'm showing you in my last VOD review. I went into this a little bit because we were looking at Canyon and how he plays in Italy. And I watched the LCK matches earlier before recording this VOD. It's a nice 91 degrees out where I live. So, hey, better time than ever to sit here and do this VOD review or this review and record this. But I showed you how to practice Nidalee, how to play jungle and solo queue. So check it out. I did a VOD last night. It's titled Nidalee Jungle Clinic. I did a brand jungle clinic. And I think Nidalee is maybe the most rewarding jungler you can play. But I practiced Nidalee for I don't just go into a solo queue game. Here I practice her so much you can't even see my whole list, but about 15 games in the practice tool before I played an actual PvP game. There's no point in me jumping into a ranked because I'd have to do promos on this account and get a rank and all that. The rank's not as important as some of you think. What we're trying to do here on the next level with Sodaron, it doesn't matter if you're unranked, you play normals, you play bot games, you play silver ranked, you're trying to reach gold, you're platinum trying to reach diamond. I will teach you the things you need to know to get you to the next level. And so the way I'm trying to train you and teach you how to play this game, here I did. I went and won my first game on Nidalee. And it was a 20-minute, 52-second long game. So the enemy team surrendered at 20 minutes. So you can go back and watch this and watch how this was maybe one day, took a day off, 3 days. I didn't master Nidalee, but I mastered her first jungle clear, or the first 5 minutes. I wouldn't say I mastered the 10 minutes on Nidalee yet, but and it may not even be the first 5 minutes I mastered, but I may not even have mastered her at all yet. But I did get the first jungle clear down, which is very important, the first 3 or 4 minutes. And then it's time to take the dragon or the void grubs, or decide which one you're going to take. I like the dragon. I like to get the dragon soul, and you can close the game out in like 25 minutes, 20 minutes, get the Baron buff. And this game kind of shows this where I don't know if we can. I don't look at all these stats. I don't know if it shows the dragons or not. I'm sure it does somewhere. Here's the vision score. One reason that Nidalee's so OP is she has free wards with her traps. I just wanted to look at the dragons. Objective kills. Anyways, you can go back and look at this. And you basically just choke the other team out where they can't get any more resources. They can't get their jungle farm. They can't get the dragons. And they're going to give up and surrender. So that's that. Go back and watch. So on to match number 71. There were some changes now. We're on patch 14.15 in the LCK. Varus received a buff, which he received a buff on the last patch, if I recall. His attack damage is increased. His attack speed bonus increased. So look for Varus to come into play because this is like 2 patches in a row now where he's been buffed. His W blighted quiver. Now there is some things that may not why you don't see him because the on hit ADs look like they're nerfed because of the item changes. So that may affect Varus. So Riot buffs one thing and nerfs something else. So who knows? The passive living vengeance attack speed bonus increased. W blighted quiver on hit damage decreased. So his attack speed was increased and his on hit damage decreased. And they also nerfed some of the items for on hit AD champions. So is this really a buff or not? Yasuo, his base stats, base armor increased. The E sweeping blade damage increased. So hey, we'll probably start seeing Yasuo. And then there's Talon, who I think is a jungler. The Q, Noxian Diplomacy, the short range cast dash to win within 150 units of target. All right. Ezreal, the Mystic Shot damage decreased. So will we start seeing Ezreal slip a little bit? We don't have the exact stats on here, but you can go look. I like the pages that the LCK shows for the patch changes. It's easy to read. A lot of the data that Riot gives us is confusing to read. Leona, her passive sunlight damage decreased. Again, these are nerfs. Her W eclipse damage decreased. Shyvana, her E flame breath damage increased. She's pretty OP right now. Hopefully this doesn't pop up with an ad, which happens on this site for some reason. Let's look at the challenger tier on the LCK ladder. Jungle. Shyvana went from being S+ to A+. So they're saying Viego is the strongest jungler right now. But I think these stats are skewed a little bit because depending on getting the Void Grubs or not, I don't think Viego's super strong at getting the Void Grubs early or the Dragon early. Whereas Lilia, Shyvana, Lisa, and Nidalee, they seem like the way their kits are. I need to get Viego on my accounts. So I'm going to need to play. You know, I can't go pay money and unlock him. I need to actually play the game and grind so I get the IP to unlock Viego. Like, this is my Smurf account here that I have set up for. I had it set up for top lane a couple years ago, but I'm starting to set it up for jungle. So I've got Brand and I've got. This is my Smurf account. My main account has what I need. Lee Sin, Nidalee, Morgana's a counter to Vi. Nunu's always strong. Poppy's always strong. Sejuani, Vi. So I have most of the main jungle champions I need. I need Lilia. I need Viego. Anyways, Shyvana's E flame breath damage increased, or flame breath damage increased. I don't know how that's a nerf. Uh, percentage total AD to bonus damage AD AP. Okay, the AP was decreased on it, so her AP ratio was decreased. Aurelian Soul. Q Breath of Light. The mana cost is increased. We don't really see Aurelian Soul in pro play, at least over in the the LCK and the LPL and the LEC. So I guess maybe he's strong in solo queue. Still saying Corki's the strongest on this patch. Yone, Zeri, Lucian. Now some of this too is once you get up to like Grandmaster and higher, the players don't play. Some of these lower tier champions you'll see, like if I crank this down to Emerald, say Yone is the strongest, Camille, Viego, LeBlanc. So I don't even see Aurelian Soul. But I'm guessing at the highest level of play, he was a little OP'd. I think Riot wants to keep champions at like 50% win rate. So anyone that's above 50% win rate, Riot sees that as OP. So like Ezreal's fallen here down to below 50% win rate. So I think that's what Riot tries to keep. Like Asante's below this. Corki's below this. But then once you crank it up to like Challenger, the stats change. Ezreal has a 55% win rate at the highest. Ashe has 61%, which I think Ashe is a counter to Ezreal. Ashe wins against Ezreal 52% of the time. I've thought Aurelian was OP ever since his change. I really like how his E works, where you can pull people into the middle of the sphere. There's a lot of, I think that's OP to begin with. When you can change enemy team's movement, like lock them down in a team fight. So champion update, Silas. The base stats, base armor increased. Q chain lash, the cooldown decreased. Explosion damage decreased. The heal ratio changed on his W Kingslayer and the damage decreased. So he's going to do some more healing, less damage. That's fine with me. I like champions that heal. Allows room to make mistakes. E Abscon, Abduct, damage decreased. Akali, her W Twilight Shroud cooldown reduced at higher ranks. Akali's R perfect execution, the damage increased, cooldown increased at lower ranks. And Yone, Q Mortal Steel damage increased, and his R Fate Sealed cooldown increased at higher ranks. So I'm guessing that's so Yone's not so ult dependent. And same with maybe Akali here. A little bit more escapability with her W. Champion update, Cassiopeia, base stats, mana increased, mana growth decreased. Q, Noxious Blast, mana cost reduced at higher ranks, damage reduced. W, Miasma, mana cost decreased. E, Twin Fang, the mana cost decreased and damage decreased. Interesting. Aurelia, base stats, health regen decreased and health increased. So maybe we'll start seeing Aurelia show up again around Worlds time. One pick I know that Chovy really likes to play and pull out that's a pocket pick is Camille mid and Aatrox mid. He's been more of a AD type player to begin with playing tanks like Ornn mid and Cassante mid and Aatrox mid and Camille mid. Zed, Q Razor Shuriken damage increased. R Deathmark cooldown increased at higher ranks. So more poke, less ult dependent. Skarner, health growth increased. Q upheaval mana cost decreased. E Ixtal's impact can no longer grab units behind him. So that might be a big change for Skarner. And this is where like the on hit stuff comes in. 80 item nerfed. Kraken Slayer movement speed reduced from 7% to 5%. Bring it down 140 to 310, move to 112 to 248. 80% effectiveness for ranged champions. Lord Dominic's regards. Armor penetration reduced from 40% to 35%. Mortal Reminder. Attack damage decreased from 40 to 35. Static Shiv. Movement speed reduced from 7% to 5%. Total gold cost increased 2,800 to 2,900. So they guess Riot was saying Static Shiv was pretty OP. That's one of the first items we see on like Zeri and some of the ADs. AP item nerf Storm Surge. Bonus movement speed increased. Looks like they're trying to give more movement speed to the AP mages. Like I said on a VOD last week, I think, or who knows when it was, but I think it was the last week's where the LCK, they showed a quote from, why can't I think of his name? It'll come to me in a minute. The mid laner on Fnatic. Some of you are gonna flame me, right? Because I can't think of his name off the top of my head at the moment. It'll come to me. Abyssal Mask. Total price increased 2,300 gold to 2,500 gold. Unmake Magic Resist Shred increased. Humanoid came to my head. Unmake Magic Resist Shred increased 20% to 30%. Unmake Aura Radius increased 600 to 700. I don't know how this is like a nerf here. Hextech Rocket Belt health increased from 300 to 400. I don't know how that's a nerf, but maybe it's some mislabeled information. Cosmic Drive health increased from 250 to 350. Spell Dance move speed increased 25 to 60, move to 40, 60. I think they meant to put AP item buffs. I think they meant to put buffs here, not nerfs. Null Magic Mantle, cost reduced from 450 to 400. Magic resist decreased 25 to 20. Resulting items have total price and final magic resist values unchanged. And then finally, the Void Staff. The ability power has increased by 5 AP from 90 to 95. I do recall Riot, like maybe a month ago, a couple weeks ago, saying they wanted to nerf boots. That boots are too gold efficient. So the Mercury Treads total price reduced from 1,100 to 1,200. I don't know how that's a reduce. That should be an increase. Magic resist decreased from 25 to 20. I think that means increased. Berserker Greaves. Attack speed decreased from 35% to 30%. Ionia Boots of Lucidity, or CDR boots for short. Total price increased from 900 to 1,000. Summoner haste decreased from 12 to 10, so nerfed. Plated steel caps. Total price increased from 1,000 to 1,200. Plating from 8% to 10%. Should be worth 200 gold there. When you're talking about percents of damage, 2% damage is a good bit. When you're doing like 50,000 damage or 25,000 damage in a game. Sorcerer's Shoes, Magic Pen nerfed from 18 to 15. Boots of Swiftness, total price increased from 900 to 1,000. Death's Dance, armor increased from 40 to 50. Wit's End, Fray increased from 15 to 80 to 40 to 80. That might be a pretty big change there on the Wit's End. Dark Harvest's cooldown from 40 seconds to 35 seconds on takedown reset timer 1.5 seconds to 1 second. And then last, Fleet Footwork, 8 to 110 linear plus 10% bonus AD plus 5% AP, moved to 5 to 120, following stat progression multiplier plus 10% bonus AD and plus 5% AP. So that's a little bit of a buff. You're getting a little bit less bottom end health, but higher end health. Heal. All right, so end of game one's draft here. We're looking at what most people consider the top team in the world, Gen G. And we'll just get into the draft. I don't want this ad. I have an ad blocker. I don't know how it like blocks those out.
Always winnable. Always winnable. Not great, but definitely technically still feel like they're on a different level than DRX is right now.
Yep, let's have a look at the draft though, diving into our very first 14.15 draft here in the LCK.
So again, I have a way at viewing these. I write notes down when I watch them with pen and paper, but I'm trying to show you how I look at this. So this is what I've come up with.
Is currently on the space, and so he is already extraordinarily upset about the fact that this ban does come through on a team with Teddy on it. But I guess Teddy just not that happy with the Ezreal these days.
Also got the Wolf confirmation. It was in fact Evangelion.
So the Rumble is banned by
I let myself down.
Gen G, and then Ashe is banned, but that doesn't really matter because then Ezreal was banned and Nidalee was banned. I think Nidalee is the best or strongest jungler in the game if you can play her. She has the highest, I think, learning curve or mastery. So Aurora is banned, Ashe is banned, Renekton is banned.
Chovy's just laughing about it. He's like, why are they banning that champion? We don't know how to play it.
So DRX are scared of the Sejuani and take her away.
So we don't need to worry about it. It's not going to be a battle of who did the most Aurora practice. I imagine a lot of people.
And we get Lilia.
As Lilia currently being hovered as it's a Sejuani first pick. If we were ever going.
So let's look at the stats here. Lilia into Sejuani. May not see this. Lilia wins against Sejuani 100% of the time, but that's based on 3 games.
Going to get a Canyon like Shyvana game, it would be this one. That's what I'm feeling. Into a Sejuani first pick, like that's
So,
when you can kind of
first
get away
pick
with it. They're going to
junglers.
be hovering the Lilia for about forever though, and then lock that one in. So that's going to be the answer.
And now
That
Gen
makes
G is
sense.
gonna
I was
get
honestly expecting a,
first
like,
dibs
2
on a
seconds
laner.
before the timer Maokai switch. That's really what has been the thing. It's been happening often. Fortunately, Shyvana got nerfed.
I think traditionally Gangplank is good into Renekton, so but Renekton was banned. I think. So we see the Corki. So Gen G first pick Corki as their laner. If you really needed to, Gen G could probably flex Corki top lane or bottom lane. A lot of value in being able to play flex picks where you can trade them into other lanes. So we get Yasuo into Corki. Or no, not yet. There we go. Yasuo into Corki. And we also get Kennen. So Gen G pick their mid laner first, the first laner, which can be countered then on blue side. I think Yasuo's a counter to Corki. I mean, it's pretty common sense. His wind wall can block out the rockets, and I don't know exactly about the Q, if it can block that out, and the E damage, but I think it can block the Q.
Yasuo, he already was a pretty decent, if niche.
So Corki into Yasuo. Oh, says Corki wins against Yasuo 11% of the time. It sounded like the casters were trying to sell me that Yasuo was a counter to Corki. And then we get Kennen.
Corki pick. And as I was saying, I think KT yesterday in Challengers, or if I remember correctly, also picked that one up.
Yep.
And right now, as long as you can get something in the bot lane that can provide an additional force of knockups, it's not.
So we get Kennen Gangplank.
Well, the Gangplank being the consideration into Kennen.
All right. Maybe eventually I should just get all this information before I do it while I'm doing the stream. Save some time. Maybe people get bored or turned off by this. Don't have Gangplank versus Kennen here on this patch. Or the patch before. Coin flip in 6 games. Now this is patch like 14.12, no 14.13. But maybe I should like set this slide up ahead of time when I'm working on these.
It's not exactly the favorite of Kennen matchups, but Sejuani Yasuo is actually like that's a bottom lane. That's just a bottom lane. When it comes to like mid-jungle synergy, that's a way to make it happen. I think Keen's Gangplank is one of the best that we have in the LCK, but it does kind of take a beating in lanes just in general in the early stages. So we'll see how that one does go.
I got a feeling this is
So taking a minute here for Gen G to decide what to ban.
And the comp is just not going to have really anything, and then they just win.
Bowling engage, dude.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Into wind wall, which, by the way, the wind wall can also, if I remember correctly, block.
So they banned Zeri. Senna is banned by DRX. To think Senna Ornn has a super high win rate.
Because again, basically everything in the game is a projectile. As Senna ban still does come through. And that's the main thing that we are wondering about.
I don't know if Zeri is good into Gangplank and Corki. That might be something else to look at as well. Corky wins against Zeri 62% of the time. That's the mid lane. And so I don't know why. It must be like Teddy's Zeri is good.
Round were enough to really
Static
come back
Shiv.
fully on the
Oh, the
level of
static shiv's
superiority
changed
that
on this
Jordan
patch.
thus far.
This is a
Ideally,
new
PG,
patch.
I imagine looking for Leona, Nautilus, Alistair. These very basic, classic picks for lands, but they can R5 it. So I think you just maybe pick MF.
Yep.
MF I think is solid.
So Zeri, Callista are
We
banned.
still are looking at what, like probably 6 AD carry events by the time this is
Aurora's
done.
probably a waste of a
Yeah,
ban,
really
even though
wants to come through,
KDF
and
played
that's probably
Aurora
the way
mid.
you're talking about.
Casters were
I
saying
do
that
think
she
that,
was
Gen G should
being
probably
played
move a
in
little bit
Challenger
extra
in the
range.
top lane.
I feel like right now there is not very
So we
much
get a
of that.
Leona
They are
ban.
slightly susceptible to slicing Maelstrom last breath, which sounds very, very rough. But we'll see how that one does go. See how everything pans out. This pays a Jhin. That's a lot of range.
But I start wondering,
And,
well,
I
okay,
don't
is
like
Zeri
because I
and
am
Callista
just
good
generally
into
thinking
Lilia
of
or
Canyon as a
Canyon,
champion. And
Corky
this is also
or
a lot of range, so
Gangplank?
that would be a lot of magic damage as well, alongside Canyon. Still
We
looking
get a
to lock in.
Ziggs,
There is the Ziggs.
which
Somewhere
Teddy's
very
been good
happy,
on
Job very
Ziggs,
happy.
so might be some of the reasoning
And
that
now
Gen
we'll see
G
what,
take this
Teddy's
away.
gonna do. Yeah, just all
Also,
just dive
they
in.
need
Let's just
some
go.
more
Yeah.
AP damage anyways, because they got the AD mid and
Do it.
Gangplank.
Come on, guys. Kai'Sa Alistair is
You
also
have AP
also
jungler.
possible.
Ooh, don't mind the Rakan as well.
Yeah. The benefit of Rakan is obvious.
So let's look at the stats. Kai'Sa into Ziggs. I like Ziggs. You can just farm all day and play safe and take turrets down. You have a global ult. Ziggs wins against Kai'Sa 75% of the time. Based on 4 games in solo queue. Disclaimer. Disclaimer. Based on 4 games in solo queue. Okay, and then the Rakan. Is Rakan good into Ziggs? Gotta go back a patch or two. %.
When's the last time?
Obviously, that he can get multi on.
Yeah. And this gives double synergy as well to
So we
any
get
sort of
Alistar.
Good old Rakan.
Yeah. And this gives double synergy as well to any sort of knockup that comes in. You can have Last Breath and then Killer Instinct on top of one another. And it keeps the Kai'Sa very safe while she's going in at the same time. So I really like that. Lahen's going to follow up with the Cow. Pretty understandable. We've seen...
Okay, let's see. Rakan into Alistar.
And expect to see Lahen's not in the same lane as Pays.
Yes, and Alistar
Hits level 4.
counters
He'll be
Rakan.
there. Yep, that's just not going to happen.
And shove him away when
And
he
looking at this,
comes
it's
in and
very
does his
obvious.
thing
The
with his
name of the
Q.
game here is Spade.
Belly
It's
flop or
GG
whatever you call it.
Yes, I do think the Lilia feels a little bit awkward in that regard. I think Lilia is the type of champion where, you know, he'd like to kind of be skirting on the edge of the fight.
Yeah.
And really, there is only the Alistair that is going to be main front line. But between the Ziggs, the Corky, as well as the Gangplank, once you get to mid to late game, a single misstep for anyone on DRX means that they either get taken to like 30% HP or die. Fortunately,
What time?
for DRX,
Let's see what time it is. 5:46. Hey there, Connor Lane. Just doing the next level, man. Trying to gain some followers on Twitch. If you like my content, please, I got a goal where I'm trying to gain 50 followers. I'm getting close. That I can get Twitch affiliate. Shout out. Thanks for joining.
About as much engaged as you could possibly want. And they're just going to send... It's a BNK range, but that does them.
Yeah. And honestly, if I took
Just
names
working,
away
my
from
man.
the
Just
Rise
working.
game, I would put
It's better sitting around. It's better
Overwatch
working and doing this than
This
sitting
round
here
is
watching
gorgeous.
other
I love
streamers
everything about it. I am
or
a
looking
little
on
bit
social
biased
media,
towards the
wasting my
Yasuo
time.
They're very, very fun. Genji, a lot of finesse required for
At
this
least I can
composition,
build my
but they're
brand
the world,
and
so I think
build
they
a
should be
following, and
outstanding.
maybe
Let's
10
jump
years
over the
from
rift
now I'll turn
for
this into
game
something.
number 1.
Sounds like it takes 10 years. I'll go as far to say that I almost think Twitch is rigged, that when it first came out that they paid people to play their games from the beginning to get it going. I could be wrong, and I'm not dissing Twitch because I would like a partnership with them.
All right. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know what happened to my resolution here. So first thing, again, I think Riot almost does this on purpose so you guys don't pay attention to the first minute of what's going on, but these teams are heavily investing into their top lane. Because I'm guessing this is Lihin's on Alistar here, and he's coming up here, he's placing the ward, then he's going to recall, get his sweeper lids, and go back to bottom. Same thing for Pleiada.
Welcome to Runeterra. We are on Summoner's Rift.
Now, I don't know why. I've done some DRX games, and there's Frog and Taehoon, the mid laner and the top laner that were challenger players, and this is their first year in the LCK. I think a matchup like this where DRX subbed in the veterans Rascal, and Satab might be a rookie as well. I'd have to look it up. But I think they're hurting themselves on experience where they should have kept playing the younger players, because I would keep them for next year. I really think I've seen a lot of hope and promise in those players.
For game number 1, DRX taking on Genji. And you can see it right. This is the Yasuo composition, and it is a beautiful one. I do really, really like the way that this one...
I didn't see Rakan place a ward.
...has been structured. Yasuo fresh off
I
a
just
buff
see...
as well. His Steel Tempest doing a little bit more stuff. And
I gotta rewind that. Did Rakan not have a trinket? Yeah, he's got the trinket. He must have put a ward up here somewhere.
Genji. And you can see it right. This is the Yasuo composition, and it is a beautiful one. I do really, really like the way that this one has been structured.
I don't know why it's not showing a ward.
There as well.
I don't know why he wouldn't place a ward and went back and changed out for the sweeper lens. He could have placed a ward in the brush.
So he's been a bit of a fringe option for
Maybe
quite
that
some
was a
time.
mistake.
Finally sort of started.
So it's like, well, where is this ward that should be up here for the blue team? Also looks like there's some stuff going on trying to get vision on the Raptor pits. Or Raptor pit on Genji's top side, red side jungle. Guessing that's where Sponge is going to place his ward, which will help Yasuo.
Getting in there, of course, was part of the reason why T1 won.
Yeah. So this ward will allow Sitab to play aggressive the first 2-3 minutes laning phase. And also you're going to know or spot out Canyon at some point. I mean, Canyon's probably going to start on the Raptors. That's seems like the most efficient start for junglers right now, at least the AP ones.
EWC Faker picking Yasuo, so it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Also, it's kind of weird. You see that Pays is here, so it's looking like this might be a lane swap. Looking, yeah, Alistar's here too. Which it would be fun if you could do this in solo queue and pull off lane swaps. Which I would think Kennen counters Gangplank. Straight up. Not like based on data or anything. Again, because you've got the stats get skewed because of the Void Grubs, which help bad lane matchups. I'm looking for Gangplank. Wrong thing. Well, can we go back? Can't find the data. Maybe I can find it on like Master Plus, which some of these players aren't Challenger. Gangplank wins against Cannon 40 SC. Cannon should be a Gangplank counter, so they have to lane swap. So you can get Gangplank going.
Yone, who also recently got a buff, even with him being...
Trying to figure out why. I would say here that Chovy is trying to get a ward over here in the Raptor pit. Maybe he doesn't have his Q as the first skill, so he can't see vision in this brush. Because Corky's Q allows you to see vision in the brush. But he has to use this ward here, even though he'd rather have it over here. Because he doesn't know. I don't think he can see, or he knows that these other two players are here. So he has to use his... I don't think he had to. He could have maybe used a skilled Q here and be able to see vision in the brush, but I don't really pay attention if Corky starts the E or the Q first. I think they normally start the E first, so I would say that's why he puts the ward here instead of like holding on to it, trying to get it here later on.
Got a buff, even with him being...
You start dealing with brushes, you need wards so you can see in the brush. Or you can't do damage on the enemy, but they can damage you. So Sejuani's going to get a leash, which this may really put Let's say this may put DRX behind here because Lily is not getting a leash.
Some of our junglers, we have like what 3-4 teams that really gravitate towards it as a.
The Gangplank's going bottom.
It's about as good as the Lilia clear fields. Yep, and we do have the lane swap to come through here, and that makes a lot of sense. And that's.
So bad start for Rascal already. They get his flash downs. It did cost Lehens his exhaust. Nothing I really see with the runes. There's the, is it the Ghost Poro that I like? On Rakan.
Yeah, that's a flash already used. It's interesting because I don't even necessarily feel like this is, oh, he
Got Rakan coming in behind Gangplank here. Going for an all-in, maybe?
That is so cheeky.
Rakan just being here allows Sponge to come over to Genji's blue side, or lower side of the jungle, and get their blue buff.
I feel like you're not allowed to do that.
No.
You're barely allowed to get the experience, let alone
I'm
the
guessing
gold.
that's what
What is it, 3 CS that Keen has?
DRX know they're gonna lose. Wherever you see Rascal right now putting a ward on their blue, on DRX's blue buff, like pretty sure they're aware they're gonna lose this part of the jungle, so that's why Sponge is over here taking this jungle away. As you see, Keen gets a ward right here on the jungle buff.
Being in the vicinity without actually being underneath the turret. The biggest weakness.
And there's Canyon taking the blue buff away. Now Rascal's losing a lot of time and getting behind here where he should be farming. Rascal's just kind of a human ward right now, trying to protect DRX's jungle. I think he should be at their turret. Unless he's afraid of getting dove by the Alistar. He doesn't have a flash.
Satab is taking a lot of damage. Keen's going to walk over. Lehens unable to get in range. Wasn't quite flash headbuttable.
And this must be neat little ward placement from Canyon here.
Even then, he is level 2. Okay, so I guess it could have theoretically comboed him. The Yasuo going to be alright for now. Pays just...
Guessing Keen thought that he could get dove. So he comes top. I was wondering what he was doing bottom, because I recall him being just top side in this game. Which he did manage to get 3 CS over Kennen right here. And a biscuit.
Yordle superiority here on the top side. A little bit unfair because he's got more friends around, but I imagine Aziggs is not too worried about that.
So, one of the big advantages that you do have with the Ziggs is that obviously, thanks to his passive, he is super solid at pushing plates early as Chovy.
Yeah, he is going to get flashed on here. Just wants to try and take down as much as...
So Chovy doesn't use his flash. And did Sponge or Sotab use his flash? Yeah, Sponge uses his flash here. Which you may need later.
Going over to DRX, and it's the jungle 2v2 that gets it done.
Very nicely done by Sponge. Actually,
So Chovy's teleport is down.
Catches Chovy off guard.
Yep, Satab getting that Valkyrie.
Canyon's getting the Scuttle Crab here, which tells me that Genji's not going to go Dragon. Probably go Void Grubs. That's not necessarily the way to play. Like, that's something else I want to chime on. This Genji's not really showing you the way to play in this game. They're going to, I'm sure, try different stuff. So isn't really the way to copy if you're trying to win in solo queue here on the next level with Sodaron. They're, I'm sure, limit testing, seeing what they can get away with, which is smart. I mean, you need that later on when you're playing top LPL teams and later on in playoffs. You have to adapt and evolve and get better. You can't get stale.
smoke, a turret shot, but Chovy getting lower and lower. The all-in opportunities here for SaTab get
Yasuo's
better,
teleport
so
is down. Rascal's flash is down. Sponge's flash is down.
Makes me very, very worried. And that area is the top lane, the Ninja versus Pirate matchup.
And I would say that Canyon's up in this side of the jungle to help babysit the gangplank. And he's recalling now. He's going to say, get ready for Void Grubs in a minute.
Definitely, and Gangplank is also one of those champions where if you don't put him behind it all,
it's like he's going bottom side, down towards the dragon.
utility he gets as the game progresses. Thanks to the
Again, I think I did a pretty good VOD last night where I was explaining what I do in solo queue and how I play, so go check it out. I'm sure Canyon would be playing Nidalee in this game, but it was banned. I tend to be more of a jungle and support type player. No, I played a lot of all the lanes in this game over the 11 years.
So I think it is a bit of a rough situation that you're just naturally always going to end up against Gen
But
G.
we've had the dragon up for 45 seconds now.
Thanks to that early attention being paid, actually looking really good for DRX.
Yeah, very nicely done. And we know that he
Now the pro players do
not exactly
play, I guess, a different style than you may need in solo queue though, because like a jungler, I think in solo queue may need to be more like a support and help take the objectives, where in this highest level of play, they're almost a laner. Like you see Canyon's ahead of Corki and Gangplank in CS. He's almost there with their bottom laner. So they're very farm heavy, and I'm trying to practice doing that more in solo queue. Now, the game I did with Nidalee shows how I would play solo queue. I didn't try to play like an LCK player. I didn't try to be farm heavy.
We haven't really seen much from the Lilia thus far. Of course, we were having conversations
This
about this champion a lot last
Void
week.
Grubs will help Kennen in his matchup.
The LPL, as we'll just pretend
And
we can see that one's
Harm Keen.
as he gets himself the first round of grubs. Genji, this gold lead for DRX is actually expanding over time. Largely to do with Rascal actually being able to catch back up as far as CS.
So Teddy goes back and gets his recurve bow. Fleta goes back and gets some boots and a ward.
Yeah, not a lot.
Not a lot. And Chovy bought a cold. They're sitting on double tier.
You're trying to, if you're a support, get this support item leveled up as fast as you can. I think it's... I did a big thing about it a few years back and some VODs on it and some slides, how OP the support item was. You gotta try to get it in like, I think it was like 8 minutes then, or 10 minutes. This season I haven't been paying attention to the timing on it like I should. So I might need to take note, pay more attention to that. Because, you know, that's really important, having the wards as a support. So, yeah, it was about what I said, 8 minutes, because Rakan just got his. So, if you're support, you're trying to get this item leveled by 8 minutes, which is pretty difficult to do in lower solo queue.
What are you talking about?
At least it was a couple years ago when I was playing support.
Very large circle.
Yeah.
Okay. And Pays has so much CC on his ultimate because it makes them CC'd for like 45 seconds later in the game, which is a long time.
That's true. Okay, fair enough, Atlas.
Yeah.
I apologize.
So you're trying to hit right now.
It's okay.
You're trying to be at like 90 CS, 80 CS, which Pays is there.
If you haven't seen the episode, I get to be a judge, and it's very, very fun.
It's fitting.
So really, Corki's having a difficult time in this lane matchup.
In general, a very judgmental
I mean,
man. Or I'm a mental judge, one of the two.
Chovy's usually the one ahead in CS and just dominating the mid lane.
I don't have those vibes at all, Chronicler.
So it looks like the bottom lane's gonna get dove.
I appreciate it.
Teddy, Fleta, they got their summoner spells. They don't have any vision though of Canyon coming in, and they get a Gangplank ult thrown in there as well. Yeah, the sleep landed.
We mentioned it. This time around it's only 15 seconds of CC, but dang, it works.
Don't know what Sponge is doing. The Dragon's up in 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
Actually, very
This
nicely
Canyon
done
just
there
takes the
by
scuttle
Bold
crab right in
and
front of
Gen G
him.
to extend that play and just set up for Canyon. I initially thought that Lahens was just going to hit the head
Hayes will
and then
need to go
uppercut
back and
up
get
back
mana
in,
because
or
he's out of
yeah,
mana right
uppercut
now.
towards Canyon, but that's not the case. Instead, initially it just
Rakan
looks like
lost
two
his flash.
trades.
Teddy lost
This
all his
BRX
summoner
he
spells.
can actually take. And I
This may
understand
bite him
that
here
there
in
is
2
speed, right?
minutes
If you
when the
can find
dragon's
your
up
lane on top of
again
the
or the
Ziggs,
next
Yeah,
round of
there's a
void
window
grubs are
there,
up.
but
So
doesn't end up being the case. That's Canyon getting even further ahead. Gonna be
I'm
accelerated towards
really
that Liao
paying a
base.
lot of attention to
There's
Canyon
also
and what he's
a
doing.
lot of gold leaving, or rather not
His
going to the
routes.
pockets of Teddy with him going down.
He's got a dark seal. He's got a control ward. He's keeping the trinket ward pretty long in this game, 10 minutes.
Down by 20 here. Due to
Of course,
all of the, added
Lilia
pressure
does
put
show
on the play.
vision with the
Zayt's
bowling
utilizing it
ball
very
or
well.
whatever the ability is. It has a very long range.
Yasuo dream here in the mid lane as Lahens just visiting Teddy. And
Nothing, I guess, Teddy can do to Lahens.
just gets out of there.
He tried to headbutt him over the wall. Teddy's like, no.
Yeah.
It's like Sponge is up here trying to make a dive on Keen,
No, they don't work.
but
Might be,
decides
just
against
a
it.
little bit of just trying to avoid getting auto attacked a whole bunch of times. So let's have a look at this play one more time. As Canyon just lying in wait. Great knock up to start this one off.
So no vision I see. I only see
as well from Teddy.
And then that's
vision on up on
the exhaust. That alone would have been enough. And then
in Gen G's brush.
look at the cupcake.
First
So
bottom lane
many
brush.
Ziggs vibes as well as the bouncing bomb on top, just to make sure. But like the Ziggs vibes with him being
And we
on
got a
the
teleport
right
of Corky
starts
coming
up,
in
so
here
it's
to
just
take
on
this
Scorpio
turret down.
throwing huge bombs
And at the same
everywhere.
time,
That
Sponge was taking the
cupcakes
void
everywhere.
grubs.
It's
So
brilliant.
good time to make a play for Gen G because they knew that Sponge was taking the void grubs, so he's not going to be down here to help.
Ziggs' ability to destroy turrets exceptionally quickly.
So it's kind of like Gen G showing their muscle in this play down here, taking these plates away from DRX.
Most solid macro team when it comes to specifically utilizing.
Corky's
What's
struggling.
Interesting though is that Satap is lead and his play in this mid lane.
I mean, you got a game here.
Coming in right after
Enjoy this,
basically
guys,
an entire
because
split of not playing.
usually it's Chovy not struggling, and he's struggling against the Yasuo on Satab.
Yasuo, and it's forcing Chovy to just make
We
plays
rarely
on the
see
map, 'cause
this.
I feel like this is a kind of a showmaker thing that we see a lot, where you just try to spread impact, but you give up a lot in your own lane. And
I wouldn't say he's struggling, but he's behind. He's usually the one that's ahead by like 20 CS and just bullying and dominating somebody in lane.
Keen's gonna get to where he needs to.
Yeah, the problem is that like oftentimes we're like, yes, top lane, it doesn't exist.
Now
blah,
these
blah,
have more
but
value
it
now,
should
the steel
exist
plate
in this
boots,
game.
and these have less
I
value.
feel like DRX should be trying to stop Pirate from being big Pirate.
Yeah, and they don't really have.
Looking at the items, you should have one item by 15 minutes. So that's your goal too.
As in,
So,
they are bowling.
Ziggs has his,
What?
Canyon has
Why would
his,
the game be bowling?
Sports.
Keen will be at his in like 120 CS.
Oh my goodness, you're right. I did a pun and I didn't even know that I
Don't
did a
see
pun.
any other full
Not even
items.
a play-by-play
This is
commentator
Zeke's
was
convergence.
wrong. I used to be aware of these things.
You do it.
Without even thinking
Okay,
about
so
it.
we
That's
got the
awesome,
dragon.
man. Oh, so much fun.
Just looking at what plays you can make here. Satab, Yasuo's teleport is down. Kenned's teleport is down. Teddy, he's the one you might want to target here because he doesn't have a flash, and Rakan doesn't have a flash. So I would think you want to target them out in this team fight if you can. Ziggs doesn't have flash. Don't think the teleports really matter except on Gangplank, but he has Gangplank also has an ult he can throw in when if they bait DRX into a fight.
Okay, Zaytap, the only
So the satchel charge on Sponge here.
whether we do get a big lilting lullaby here, but it looks like Sponge just wanting.
So Dragon, you look at the damage here, like it says 900. The smite damage that he's gonna do,
Try and go for a bit of a 50-50
and that's when you
on this
try to smite it.
They're gonna have to back away.
So needs 73 more damage here, then he could smite. Bam.
That is watch out, eat, and a spin around there from
I've been really good at the objective control, and I've stolen many barons in my lifetime playing this game, and I rarely have somebody steal the dragon from me. Happened to me in my game yesterday of Nidalee that I show, but I messed up. I used my smite on the crab when I shouldn't have, and then it was greedy of me to think that the other team wouldn't show up and try to contest the dragon. But it didn't matter because he got the dragon, but we got the takedowns.
And he will be able to lock down the dragon. It's going to be a Cloud Soul. We have Swift Rift on our hands.
So I think that was a Pays ward there. I don't know. Maybe not. It's hard to tell who warded what, and I know most people don't care.
Lock down the dragon. It's going to be a Cloud Soul. We have Swift Rift on our hands.
So again, this ward will allow this bottom lane to play aggressive. I don't know what exact time it is. I like to put the timings when I make slides. You know, just to show you where to ward, basically. So if you're in solo queue, you don't know where to ward. One of the things I'm trying to show you. Look at all this river vision that Gen G have. Like they own the bottom river. So I'll just put like Pays ward. I mean, talk about aggressive. Like Lens has been in the enemy jungle alone without vision, just taunting the enemy mid laner that has a lead on Chovy.
And Gen G are going to be walking real fast. Or galloping.
So Kennan's got his item now.
They are hooved animals.
No teleport though, so Dragon's not up for 4 minutes and 30 seconds, so it's time to plan and take the Rift Herald.
I mean, they prep, but what if they're going
So I'm sure this is why you see Canyon over on this side of the jungle.
Do we have any gear experts in chat? Can you let me know?
This happens a lot, Atlas. I feel like whenever we get to
Ziggs gets a Scryer's Bloom to get some vision here.
Yeah, I know, but it's fine. We've got like a large amount of people.
Well, Ziggs is rotating to the mid lane now, and I guess Corky's gonna go bottom.
I was just thinking, like, if you're a hoofed animal, I think you have the ability
which he'll
to
have.
if you want to.
No, he won't.
Exclusive to horses. Well,
this will help prep for the next dragon. I would think Gen G are thinking this far ahead, like they're already planning to take the next dragon 4 minutes ahead of time. But right now, got DRX taking the Rift Herald. Canyon needs his blue buff in that circumstance. Again, I talk about how players sometimes take the buffs when they don't need them, and they could take the dragon instead, and then they lose the dragon to the other team. The Rift Herald's not really going to do much for Gen G. So.
Into a lot of backline dive, it's a little more warranted.
Well, Cannon Barrage going to be used just to try and clear out this wave. You can see Sponge and Satab getting to work up there. 6 grubs, remember. And so a Cannon Barrage is not likely.
Got another rotation here where Gangplank's going mid.
Not going to quite get there.
And Gen G's heavily investing to get this bottom lane turret down. And they got the T1. I was thinking they were gonna go down to the tier 2, but they didn't. But another thing too, this allows Canyon, he owns this much of the jungle now, so they're just shutting Sponge down out of the game. It's 145 CS to 96 CS. So they're just choking Sponge out, and I show it on my stream yesterday, and it's how I play. I just like choke the enemy jungler out where he becomes useless and he doesn't have any farm and he can't do anything. He gets tilted and doesn't know what to do. I don't think it was necessarily the jungler in the game I was playing against yesterday, but the top laner that was the enemy top laner
particularly when you have
But I just get to a point where I'm taking all the farm away out of the enemy jungle, and then my farm's gone, and they don't have anything to do.
For example, amidst the enemy team, without anyone knowing, can set up really nicely for the
So a lot of rotating going on here. Corki is now in the top lane. Notice the transitions are so much smoother on Gen G, where it's just like clockwork, where they're not missing waves. I mean, you don't want to waste waves. That's the big thing I see in solo queue. That, well, I'll be somewhere on the map, and then I'm looking at top lane, and it's like a wave just crashing into the other waves. Like, wow, look at all that gold just being wasted in XP. Rascal does have his flash up, but it looks like Rascal might get dove here or taken down.
And Keen is down here as well. Canyon going to find Rascal. Rascal finds a decent combo, but Canyon's not really too. Yeah, was not great.
Canyon, he's still up.
It's a lot of rotating around for Gen G. Seeing Alistar, and I guess that's Gangplank rotating through their own jungle. They're rotating the mid lane. And notice how they work together as a cohesive unit.
Nicely done. But this is a
Like clockwork.
by DRX,
And they're trying to catch DRX out. Trying to catch a player out by themselves. And some of the things I try to teach on my channel, like, you're wanting to catch the enemy out, you shouldn't be trying to make plays by yourself. You should have a teammate with you when you're going through the jungle. You shouldn't take like an all-in trade unless you like 100% know you can win that trade. If not, just wait till you have a teammate around. So that way, if you mess up, you have your teammate there to help you fix the mistake so you don't get behind in the game by like another 5 minutes. Anyways, the dragon's up in 7 seconds.
That's going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting here.
Hextech Minefield goes down just to stop DRX.
So DRX start the dragon up here. Rascal doesn't have flash, so that was a big win for Gen G to get his flash. You kind of need that as Kennen to be able to flash into the back line with the ultimate running. Gangplank doesn't have his ult up yet. Other than that, Pays doesn't have teleport. I don't think he'll need it. But we got a dragon fight going on. Itemization, Corky's on his Trinity Force, Gangplank's on his Trinity Force. So the players, the carries are on one item. Now I do see a little difference here where Canyon has a Seeker's Arm Guard, so he can have some type of engage or disengage in a team fight. I like that he's taking Zhonya's second. I've noticed he's been doing that here in the last few matches, or last couple of matches, on Nidalee even, which I like because, I don't know, I just find the Zhonya's very valuable. That's the most, not the most, but that's one of the top OP items in the game is the stopwatch proc, or the Seeker's Arm Guard proc, or the Zhonya's proc. I'll even say they should probably remove it out of the game, but hey, what do I know? So Canyon engages here and then has his Seeker's Arm Guard. So Gen G get Paletta, Rakan, which Rakan burned his ult and his ignite and his flash. Now, Gen G's 33.5k gold ahead, right? And have 2 dragons. I don't think that DRX can straight up win this team fight. Unless, like, Yasuo catches, like, 3 people out in an ultimate. But they have an exhaust on Lehens, which you just saw. So, Yasuo instantly gets exhausted anytime he tries to do his shenanigans with his ult. Rascal gets headbutted out of there. He needed his flash, so his ult's not going to do anything. He did get Chovy, and he got Lehens caught in it. But meanwhile, downtown here, Gen G get the 3rd dragon. and they're cleaning up. Which we know Gangplank, once you get a couple items, he's scary. His Q does a lot of damage, his barrels do a lot of damage.
Oh, DRX, if Plata plays
Corky's
that,
on his
could have been
2-item
even
power
might have
spike
even
now,
decided the
so
victory. Instead, it ends up being a free for the Dragon's still going over the Gen G.
close to Baron time for Gen G. Once Gangplank gets his item,
But DRX are just not
Canyon's
able
getting
on
close
the
to
same
Zonya's
page. It takes a
Hourglass.
long time to actually take down Paze. 'Cause as we take a look
Paze
here,
is getting close to his second
with
item.
that
Once
GP
you got
coming
your
in, you need to sit
2
down
items on all
and
your carries, you can take the
Plata has an
Baron.
opportunity, but it's disjointed. The last rep comes
Zig's
back
ult.
after there's
Zig's
already
ult
been
didn't
stopped
do
right?
anything.
So
It's a
that
whiff
doesn't
of a
do a
Zig's
whole
ult.
lot. Rascal doesn't actually get a lot of value of his ultimate because Lahens gives his life, and they take so long to actually kill Chovy. And I think that time could have been spent better trying to either.
And so I talk about this, guys, but like today is a day where like I just don't feel on, right? Like I've just kind of not had a great day, and it's like I don't want to stream, but it's a job and it's showtime, and here I am again. And that's what you got to do if you want to get to the next level. You have to keep pushing yourself and grinding and put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You learn more out of being put in an uncomfortable situation than you do being comfortable every day. You don't gain anything being in a comfortable situation.
He is one of the 4 key threats, I
The
think.
same items. Well, that's my point.
So Canyon's on his Zonyas now. So once Gangplank gets his second item finished here, what is it normally? Essence Reaver? I was gonna say he goes Immortal Shield Bow, I remember now, but now he's on his Immortal Shield Bow, so now Gen G should be able to take the Baron no problem. I don't know what Sponge is doing. I mean, he has Plata there. But he must not have any farm. Okay, he's got the Krugs. He's going to the Krugs.
Itemization here from Gen G. So it's Shield Bow second for Keen. So very early, opting into defensive stats.
At this point, I don't think Sponge should be in the enemy jungle. Now, I talked about it yesterday in my stream, but when I jungle, I'm trying to go in the enemy's jungle and take their farm away. But you got to have wards and know what you're doing. You can't just go in there blind or you're going to get caught out and die. But I try to shut the enemy jungler down and take out their camps as a priority over my own camps. But there's many rules and things that go along with that. You can't just blindly go in there. I mean, if you got a Smurf account and you don't care about losing, then do it and you'll learn. Eventually, you'll see what I'm talking about. I feel like this game's getting close to over already because Gen G's got the 3 dragons. They can take the Baron now because Sponge is down. There's no smite on the enemy. They've got their 2 items on their carries. So if you're trying to get Baron and solo queue, you can't really get it at 20 minutes unless you're like Nunu or Zyra, or you need your laners to have 2 items so you can burn it down. Did you see how fast Gen G just burned this Baron down? And again, here on the next level, we're trying to win the game in 20-25 minutes. It's what I'm trying to teach you. I don't like this 40-minute, 50-minute long coin flip game. Watch how fast this Baron gets taken down. That's with 2 carries. Then they get all their carries with 2 items in here. It just gets burned down. And what's DRX gonna do? Paze isn't even in there putting damage. So what, that was like 30 seconds? Where you're trying to do it in solo queue at low rank and it feels like it takes 5 minutes to take the Baron down. So there's the ultimate from Yasuo. Like I said, that's about the only way I could see DRX winning a team fight is like Yasuo's got to get in there and get not 1 target, but like a multiple man ultimate down. And Lahens has his exhaust, which I would assume that he just put on Yasuo here, but I could be wrong. May have used it on Rascal. You need the exhaust to keep Yasuo from doing his ult. on multiple targets, and Rascal from doing his ult on multiple targets. So Rascal gets exhausted here.
That is going to be the Baron just taken for free. There's Rascal going in, finds 3.
Exhausted. Because like Gen G, they're not perfect either. They made mistakes in this fight. I mean, we could go down and clean them up and look at the positioning. Rakan gets in here. I'm guessing Rakan triggers the Yasuo ult. Yeah, so Yasuo gets a 3-man ult here. So that's a note that I need to make in my book right here, is Yasuo and Rakan are good together because you can get a 3-man ultimate. Yasuo and Rakan good together. Multiple target ult. But GG, they got the Baron.
Very nicely done by DRX, making the best of a rough situation. As initially it
looks like
they have been unable.
Corki and Ziggs is coming in, but Ziggs is coming in this wave.
One of the other big benefits of Ziggs, able to get out on the map very, very quickly. As we go all the way back to what set up this Baron initially. Between Demolish, you should just let this one go.
So Canyon gets ulted, it looked like, at this turret.
He has Zeke's. So
Yasuo had to run really far to get into that fight.
Harrowing Kiki was very apt as Sejuani just got violently murdered. And Rascal here, initially it looks like it's a classic DRX issue of them being disjointed. But then the
so Rakan and Yasuo can do a lot of work together to get a 3-man ultimate.
Teddy still finds an entrance into the fight, ends up taking down some valuable targets.
But I mean, all you got was a support.
Shouldn't be underestimated as DRX.
So the Dragon's live, which will be the Dragon Soul, which it looks like Gen G are moving right on over here to get.
All things considered, I know they're 6K goal behind, but 7
So what can DRX do to come back in the game? Well, they're almost 7 or 6K gold behind, so they got to make up. They got to do some type of crazy thing where they catch Gen G out, and I think Kennen needs a Zonya's Hourglass here. I like a Zonya's second on Kennen to engage or disengage with his ultimate. He gets exhausted every time, so I would think he needs the Zonya's more than the item he took. Yasuo is still ahead of Corki. Well, Corki just got his 3rd item, and he can't teleport in.
Gen G going to be able to grab themselves this red buff as well. And DRX, unfortunately, a little buffless in this one. So in a turret, all they've managed to take.
Still seeing Warmogs on the support second.
25 seconds left on that.
Rakan's behind.
End of the world. Early Barons like this don't often get gigantic value, but they still have a 7,000 gold lead.
I can't tell if Pays is going Zonya's 3rd or Deathcap. It might be an either-or type of situation. So Canyon can play like this because he has Zonyas. He has room for error. See how he Zonya'd. I think the Zonya's second is more valuable, especially in solo queue. Some pro games matches you see where they don't. They're trying to maximize their damage, but they've got team comps where they got a tank or a support tank. Or I meant like a top lane tank. They got some tanks that can keep the like a AP jungler from getting caught out. Right there, Canyon had Zonya's. That's why he could play so aggressively.
But Chovy being put behind in lane was always going to be
I think this
mitigated by
game's
having Cole finish
this is
quickly 'cause he
this
still
is
shot.
what we want to
But also
see
the
like
fact that he went first
G2
up,
be
he
able to
capitalized
do
on melee matchup.
against
Yeah.
Plays
Fnatic.
smart.
Just close the game out in 25
As
minutes
easily
like
'cause
this.
Yasuo does have a lot of threat in the lane, but I do think that's another reason
Now,
as to why
some will say
it's all
DRX is a really bad team. Well, they're not that bad because
Chovy
Gen
is
G
not
couldn't
really
close it
that-
out in 20,
that far
25
behind the
minutes.
curve as- yeah, once Lilia has her stacks, the turn is really the only thing you can do. So
She's got Cloud Soul, man.
I know it's not.
She already walked way too fast.
There, I think you see Sadab attempts to get the. It doesn't matter. Like Keen's there as well. I know Keen was the one they tried to set the play up on in the first place, but and then here we have like Payson and Kenyon fighting over who gets the kill.
Yeah.
So
Sponge
Gangplank's on his third item now.
understandably so. Minute and a half on the
Canyon's on
experiment.
his
Might be
third
what he
item.
uses to close out
Yeah,
this game.
Pays took
They can
Death
find
Cap, and he got
themselves
Oblivion
some sort of
Orb
pick
too.
earlier in this game, but I don't know
Might
whether
as well.
that's
I think the
going to be what
Oblivion
they're
Orb
looking
is
out for. I think,
very
despite
gold
all the
efficient. It's
line
worth
play,
800 gold. It's at
Sodaron
least got to
is
help with the
almost there.
Warmogs heal on the Rakan and the Sejuani.
And also the kill on top. And this might actually just
A lot of people are really against the Oblivion Orb, but I do think some people lie because they don't want the public to get as good as them, and I don't understand. Like, I want to help the public get better. So there's some streamers out there that are like really against. They really used to cry about how Leandries is the best item in the game, and now they probably cry that Leandries isn't the best item in the game, and now everybody's using Leandries. Then they cry about, well, Oblivion Orb isn't gold efficient or a good item, where I think it's one of the most gold efficient items in the game because it cuts down healing. I think it even works on health potions. So if it cuts down healing by 30% for 800 gold, that's ridiculous gold value. So impressive too that Gen G shove in this without the Baron buff. That's another thing that's impressive here.
This is how to get in shape fast. This
Something. Atlas.
I don't have YouTube Premium.
Atlas.
Can't afford it.
Rascal only did 3k less than Keen, and he got exhausted twice.
So game 1 final. So I didn't want to turn this into a 4-hour stream. It's going pretty well. And now's the time that I take my break and play you a demo. And I will be back 20 minutes or so. Take a break here. Take a Well, we're not taking a break. So we're going to go on to game number 2 here, everybody. Go ahead and pull up Epic Pin. I had a little bit of a problem where I made an error where I finished and did game number 2 on my stream earlier and realized when my dog was on the lap, I was on the wrong scene, and so I talked for an hour and realized that it looked like this. So I have to redo game number 2, but that's fine. I have some notes here. You just double check my settings before we get into the second game. Make sure that's good. That's good. As one of my best friends told me, make a checklist to look at. Again, some of it's because I don't have a second monitor to pull this over, and it gets me sometimes, but it's okay. So anyways, we're going to go on to game number 2. Now, I already have the notes that I made from the draft, so we can see that. And I made some notes here, but I'll probably do a better job into the analysis and stuff since we're on game number 2. Because once you do like game 1, you start to get a little lazy. Now if I could just get... I don't like when this happens, and I don't know how to fix this. Where Epic Pen wants to make my toolbar stay, and I don't know how to fix that. Let me see if it's where I close the toolbar and I bring Epic Pen back up. I don't know why. There we go. So here we go into my little draft thing. Hope it wants to play an ad. But what happened here was... Let's see. What happened here was, again, I had to restream the first part and fix the second part, which is fine. But I thought I did a really good job on the first part, but I have to go back and redo it again. So second take. That's what it takes to get to the next level, guys. Like most people would give up what I went through today, and I want to make sure that I get the whole VOD or whole review done. So here we go into the second game. So my little draft thing here. Now we have the notes at least, but I want you to look at the values like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, as the band priority that the team, like, their number one priorities are worried about Rumble, or DRX's number one priority right here is they're worried about Nidalee. Now, if you watched my stream yesterday, Nidalee's OP, right? Like, she's getting bans.
Just the one. Yeah, just one.
She was banned against KDF as well in the match after this, when it was KDF versus KT.
Oh no, back to Mauk. No, he might get Zyra. We'll see. Maybe we'll get something fun for Ken.
And so I tried to dig and do the analysis here.
I'm telling you, this is like we don't really play it, and I just
about why the Ashe, like Ashe is a Ezreal counter. No, Ezreal was banned on this patch. Or banned. My brain's starting to die where I've been up so long. I would like to get these done, you know, in the beginning of my day where I have more energy. But it just doesn't seem to work out that way. Every time it ends up being late at night.
don't want to deal with this.
So Lilia gets banned. Rumble's a permanent topside red team ban.
Yeah, fair enough.
So DRX first pick Rascal. Now I don't know why they put Rascal in for Frog and Satab in for... I got his name mixed up earlier. It's Kahoon. But Satab seems pretty good from what I've seen. Like playing in the first game against Chovy, he did really well laning. I guess he was a challenger player. Kehu. I called him Tehu or Tehun, but it's Kehu. He's done pretty well. I don't know why they would switch in Rascal and Satab when I think you need to give your main priority players like Frog and Kehu in where they need experience against Gen G, because I think they're good players that just need some experience, and next year they'll probably be able to lane into a Keen and lane into a Chovy or level up. So there's the Ashe ban, which is an Ezreal counter, but then Ezreal gets banned, which I don't know, it's kind of weird to me because they banned the Ashe. Or wait a minute here, let me go back. I'm gonna say the Ezreal was banned before the Ashe, but maybe that's a top priority that Gen G don't want to play into from Teddy, or she can be flexed to support.
Just the one.
Yeah, just one.
So we get Renekton.
Lilia actually banned here. as the Aurora is going to slip through the draft.
Oh no, back to Mauk.
One thing I guess I'm gonna do from now on is I
We'll
could
see.
put
We'll
my,
get something fun for Canyon.
I can at least put my chat on my
I'm
phone.
telling you, this is like we don't really play it, and I just don't want to deal with this. So
Yeah, fair enough.
So if I get anyone, because I think people get turned off by the
the champion's too annoying. I just don't like dealing with
OBS
so just get rid of it.
windows. And so that's where I messed up today and forgot I didn't switch the scene where I need a second monitor to look at all this stuff. But again, it's not really worth me spending $2,000 or $3,000 if I don't get views on my content. So it's just something planning for the future. So Genji first picked the Maokai here. Nidalee's banned, which I think is their #1 priority. Lily is banned. This is something new we're seeing in the LCK now, but it's been very successful in the LPL.
I guess we're just back to the tree.
And so we get Maokai and Gangplank, which I normally thought that Gangplank is a Renekton counter. And I did some digging in the stats earlier, or I thought I did. Was trying to find some stats. I had to go back some patches and saw that Renekton wins into Gangplank 0% of the time. I think it was only like 3 games. And we're going to see Yone versus Corki. DRX tries something a little different here. Instead of the Yasuo, they picked Yone, which the Yone is more like they're very similar champions, right? Except the Yone is more like a single target pick, where a Yasuo is more like a multiple person, multiple target champion, because you can lock in 5 people, 3 people, or 5 champions, 3 champions on the enemy team. If you get them caught, like in earlier, Rakan makes a play to do a knock-up on 3 Gen G members, and then Yasuo locks in and ults 3 of them at the same time, where Yone can't do that. He's more of like a single target type of champion. So that's kind of the difference between Yone and Yasuo. So Yasuo is like better for team fights, whereas Yone's better for single target, picking off, winning lane type things. So that might be some of the difference we see in this game. We also get the Ornn Senna on DRX. And these are just some of the stats. Again, I put these notes in the description so you can follow the notes and follow along with me. I'm working on getting them better, more professional for you. So you see Seraphine wins against Ornn 66% of the time. Seraphine wins against Seraphine wins against Senna 60% of the time. I think I had to dig back in a couple patches, so they're not on 14.15. Now, Leona is good into the Ornn. And then apparently Brand is a counter to the Maokai. So these are things we're going to see in this draft. I'm not going to do it in real time. Save some time here.
Well, they can go for other stuff as well. It's Keen, so I wouldn't be too surprised. But Cannon is the obvious one. I think Cannon Maokai also is quite nice, as you have a lot of
Keen for years now has been a top tier Gangplank player, so happy to see him able to play this champion on a team and shine. But we get the Senna Ornn out of DRX.
A bit of a safe matchup as
and Genji are going to pick Corki, which if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? So it's a pretty crazy win rate that Chovy has on Corki. It's like 50-some games he's played.
Absolutely. I think until you lose a game.
Now Genji banned the Aurora. I saw Aurora in the next match that KDF successfully played her. I forget who she laned into. It was probably Corki. I think it was BDD, and it was Aurora played into Corki. KDF won and beat KT 2-0. I don't even know if it's worth analyzing these matches from KT. So I think KDF is very underrated. I think highly of CV Max. Maybe not the problems he's had outside of the game, but as a coach, he's a very good coach. He's turning around what is some people call like a budget roster or a low tier roster and getting them up into the top 5 of the LCK. So, you know, that's the power of having a good coach, a strong coach. So they banned the Yasuo, which worked very well in the last game. There were a couple team fights that might have flipped the game for DRX where they caught out some Gen G members, or didn't catch them out, but caught them in like a with Rakan, like at the Baron. Rakan and Yasuo caught out 3 Gen G members in the ultimate, so Gen G don't want to deal with that. DRX banned Ziggs, which Ziggs was very effective the game before. And we get a Kai'Sa ban as the last from DRX, which I don't get. I think I looked that up earlier, but is Kai'Sa good into Senna or Ornn? It didn't look like the stats said that, so I don't know exactly why the Kai'Sa ban. Leona is good into the Ornn and Senna. So I don't know why this gives me these. But I would have maybe banned Leona here instead of Kai'Sa.
I don't mind the brand. Neither do I. Light the tree on fire. That is the natural enemy.
So we get Brand, which is a Maokai counter. His first clear is kind of weak until he gets the Fate, or Ash's Fate, whatever the little torch thing is.
It's not happening.
And we get Yone this time instead of Yasuo, which is stronger maybe in the laning and all-inning with the ult, a 1v1 and winning the trade, like a pick. And then we get Seraphine, which I see that this is the Ornn and Senna counter I've been looking for. That Ornn and Senna counter is Seraphine and Leona that Gen G is going to show us in this series. Or this game.
Undil, I think, has been one of the front runners. Beryl also loves it. With the Ashe Seraphine specifically. Yeah. But I think Seraphine is, as an AP carry, provides a good amount of AP.
So we'll go ahead and get in the game. Try to save a little bit of time here. This should have been a 3-hour VOD, and it's turned into like 8 hours of my day. So that's life, guys. There's always other problems that show up. I haven't streamed in a while and done VOD reviews. I've been doing... I streamed the game the day before, so I didn't have to worry about changing the scenes. So I made a checklist here, so maybe next time I'll remember to make sure to click over. It's a pretty cool skin there, right? That gives you a horse. Now if I just had an ad blocker that worked correctly, or if somebody could teach me how to use this, please let me know.
Yeah. So maybe they just, both of them just don't.
I didn't want to reload, but I thought maybe it would block the ads.
You know, they're actually getting some win.
All right, here we go. That's why I did that. I thought, well, maybe that'll block the ads.
I love that Gen G is willing to lean into this even more.
So, into the game.
I just love the fact that they
would be nice to have this epic pen on a second screen, because it also makes me have to double click things that I shouldn't normally have to do. So, I think that's the Sita skin where she's on a mount. Everybody loves Meowokai.
Ready for game number 2.
Ah. So starting off, and I think I made a note of this. This is probably like 40 seconds into the game here, but this shows that Sponge is going to go over here and try to get a ward. Corki should have vision with his Q if he wants. Just depends on what he wants to do. If he wants to start Q first or E, but he can get free vision in the side brushes. There's always a war going on between these two spots. with teams trying to get vision on the Raptor pit. So very good starting ward location for solo queue. If you can get, it's much easier to get in solo queue because you don't have a support. Usually a support's down here. So if you're a support in solo queue, please, you saw it in my game yesterday where we invaded down here. Don't go stand down here at the start of the game. Like, work with your team and try to get vision of the enemy or get some type of deep ward down in this area if you're like a support or a bottom laner. And I already did the notes in the last game on this, so I may have different thoughts and ideas. You start talking for 45 seconds, and this I'm showing that the bottom lane has the double trinket ward. They didn't start with a sweeper. I think I was showing that early vision game war. Corky's trying to come over this way and get a ward here. Brand is trying to do the same thing on the other side. But unfortunately for Yon, he's got Pace and Lehens right here. So he's not going to be able to stop Gen G from getting this ward. So it looks like Pace is going to roam up here to help get this ward for Chovy, which will allow him to play aggressive in his lane. That's why he can play so aggressive in the beginning, first 3 minutes. Or getting a ward here will allow Yon to play aggressive, to overextend over the line that I talk about.
I'm sorry, I don't like Zombie as much. I thought it was okay.
No, it's not.
And I think I made a note of this. So great if you're a mid laner, great spot to put a ward. Or if you're a jungler, like on blue side, how Brand got one over here. That tremendously helps your laning phase in the first 3 minutes, 5 minutes before the Scuttle Crab. Allows you to play aggressive and overextend over the line that I talk about. Let's see, my notes were wrong. Sponge did get a ward, but Chovy gets the early. I need another slide. Hayes and Lehens helps Chovy get the Raptor ward. But Sponge also got one over here. And how I normally do this is, let's see. I circle this. Circle Sponge. Circle that. Blow this up. Sponge gets deep. Right here, and then I put the time as well. I think the timing is important. Spent a lot of hours doing this, practicing this with Gam, and That's the boring analytical work. Now if we can maybe get a picture of
I don't like zombie as much.
the
I
raptor
thought
pit
it was
and
okay.
throw in
No,
there
it's
as
not.
well.
No, it is. It's completely fine. Subjective.
So this will also allow Canyon to come down in here and start down on the DRX bottom jungle if he wants to. And this will also allow Chovy to play very aggressive over the line. This will also put Seraphine and Lahins behind a little, or Seraphine and Lahins behind a little bit. But the vision's more important. You're only going to lose a few CS. It's not going to be game changing. What's game changing is like a first punished overextended gank or
Not sure whether it is subjective. I think it's
or a
just objectively
takedown.
One of the best skins.
Oh, I agree. I just
So
think Brand has a
the Genji bottom lane has a little bit of a disadvantage already. Maokai gets countered by Brand, so I don't know what Canyon was
Okay.
doing. Maybe
Let's,
seeing if
let's get
Sponge
into
was
this.
starting this
It's
side.
Lady Canyon spotting out where Sponge
Also, Canyon can do this because he's got the E that throws saplings in the brushes, so it gives him vision.
is.
He might have just been
So,
planning
full
a
information given.
sapling or trying to,
Was Canyon looking for
but he's getting forced out to go to his own jungle.
late invade, thinking that he have prio in mid,
But he
which
can
is the
heal,
Raptor's
so he'll be
skill.
alright.
Because Sponge did start with his Q,
I
so
need
he
Maokai on
ideally
my
always
Smurf
wants to
account.
start on his red buff.
So again, Chovy can play like this over the line that I talk about. He's over the line because he has this ward right here. That's why. And Joan can do the same thing because of this ward. I need to circle the time too. I guess I need to circle the mid laners as well. I do like that I had a break and I can spend more time on this now. So that's why they're allowed to do this. It's not that they're the best in the world, it's the vision they have that allows pressure. Now, wards and vision allow you to have pressure. Pressure meaning shoving in the waves into the enemy turret, which is what you're trying to do.
Because doing Raptors without W was
Again, I think a lot of solo
better,
queue players
I think.
don't know what they're doing.
And does look like it's just going to be
They're playing for kills. So,
somewhat delayed starts here.
you know, and it's more about trying to gain gold.
Nothing too
And
bad.
this,
I don't
the
know if
last
Genji
hits
knows
are what give you the gold,
about the ward that is on the Raptors.
not the
Doesn't look
300
like-
gold. So this is just showing that Sponge's early ward pays off and gives vision on this. This allows all the lanes to play more aggressive because they know where the jungler is.
Like they do, wasn't pinged. So that does mean that they're gonna know.
So, you know, Renekton can play aggressive over the line because he knows where Maokai is and which side he's going to get ganked from. This allows Brand to clear down here and not have to worry about coming up here and saving Rascal right now. So, important ward.
So possible early play out.
Again, I think solo queue players, what you got to work on is cleaning up your first 10 minutes, getting the first item, or 15 minutes, getting the boots and first item. Once you get one item, you guys are golden. I know, it's fun once you get the first item. I've been there. When I was younger, I thought, well, this game's not fun until I get my first item, where you realize it's all the same at level 1 to level 10. You play the same. It's just you do a little bit more damage.
Moment as Satab gets himself his shield, and Chovy really thought that Satab was going to run away from him there. That's why the phosphorus bomb was.
And so we have the the Senna Ornn counter, the Seraphine, and the Leona.
And it probably
Chovy getting really aggressive there with Satab.
should have been in the right spot because Satab's going to be taken down to about.
Might have to use his health pot right there.
Still being able to.
But he does. One thing I think is he's trying to bait Chovy. Surely Brand will come over here and get the flash out of it, Chovy at least. Because Chovy's just getting asked to get ganked. He's getting low on mana. You hopefully would want to wait if you're Brand that Chovy runs out of mana first so he can't Valkyrie away. It's hard to say Valkyrie. Valkyrie away. That's hard to say. So he may want to wait and see Chovy's just asking to get ganked. You want to wait till he's out of mana. I don't know if I've got this in a slide or not. Yeah, I did. Okay.
2 points in queue. So he does.
This is when it's time to punish Chovy. He's got no mana. You shouldn't be pushed forward like that with no mana. So it costs his flash. So Chovy gets punished. Does it cost DRX anything? And then Teddy just lost his cleanse. Playing, I guess, too aggressive. I think Seraphine's got a root, right? If I can recall. She's one that I've never bought because it's like, is she a laner? Is she a support?
Yeah, I don't mind it. There's going to be a lot of frontline.
I don't typically get the champions that don't show up in pro play. Like, one new one that I have is Briar, and it's like, well, where's Briar? Why is Briar not in pro play? She seemed really OP. Her ultimate is a global ultimate. Or where's Belveth? I have Belveth.
So ended up going 2 points in.
It's like a lot of the newer jungler champs don't even get played.
And I get it, the cleanse is gone, so you want
to. Satab gets a nice. Unless that's looks like that might be Rascal, and this is a veteran play that I like right here. That like I want Broken Blade doing on G2. So I gotta go make a slide here. So, what do I do? Okay. I got lazy in this game after a while and I didn't do more slides. I was just out of gas. This is where you want to be warding if you're a top laner, not in the brushes like Broken Blade does in the last VOD reviews you watch, where I kind of called them lazy against Fnatic. Because this is why these veteran top laners ward deep and leave the lane. I could see how a second monitor would be a lot easier for this as well. But this showing the timing's important, because after a while you all in solo queue will get used to knowing the timings. Because there's a race. You're trying to get 100 CS at 10 minutes. Which, you know, he should have 50 at 5 minutes. So he's a little behind.
Hitting realistically, so you will get good value of that. But yeah, really nice punish there. Again, by
So
Spark,
Canyon's
second
getting
time
the
in a row,
scuttle
and
crab
will be
for the
struggling a little
dragon.
bit. So ended up going 2 points in queue for max punish.
And changes to a which this ward from the, I would guess it's Senna's ward, allows Canyon to be spot out here. What is? Yeah, Teddy. I knew that. These are things that get overlooked. Okay.
Finishes Canyon. It's so hard.
Gets much difficult after like
gone, so you want to try and look for
10, 20 minutes.
End up getting it. Chovy,
So Brand
Chovy
gets
on
the
bottom,
scuttle crab
back into the lane and
on the
straight back
void
to
grubs,
bullying state. But State
and it's
pulls a
looking
reversal
like
on him. Actually got
Canyon's
himself
got the
a
scuttle crab
top
on the
gun.
dragon,
Is
so
pretty-
that should pretty much, like I say before, there should be a stat maybe, like maybe it's like you have an 80% win chance of getting the objective if you have the scuttle crab, or it should be above 50%.
decently behind when it comes to clearing the jungle, and Brand's first
This is not a very good ward for Keen here, so you know, he would rather have it down here somewhere, but I'm guessing he's getting he couldn't walk down here, so he had to put it here in case he's getting ganked. Or here. He should have another one back up pretty soon.
first clear really isn't that crazy. It's not to the level of something like a
He
Zyra,
does have
and
the
when he gets
barrels.
his faded ashes that he is really going to accelerate. So Sponge can find early leads, might be able to turn that into a little bit more.
Well, Chovy not.
So I see Lehens. See. Lehens gets a deep ward, which allows them
Lane and straight back.
to play so aggressive. In the bottom lane. I messed that up. You guys think this is boring or you want to make fun of me? This is what teams do. You would think that pro players know this stuff, but they don't. Or they forget. They get caught up in drama, or you just get caught up in the game and you forget these things, so you have to help remind them. You know, educate their brain where they don't think about it. It's just happens. Muscle memory.
Pulls a reversal
That's
on him. Actually
the
got
point of these
himself
slides.
call, and we do see Canyon is pretty decently
So Canyon
behind when it
gets
comes
one
to,
at the
jungle, and
entrance of
Brent's
his
first play really
jungle.
isn't
The
that
dragon's
crazy.
up in 50
It's not
seconds.
to the level of something like
And
a
he
Zyra.
should,
It's when he gets
Genji
his
should be
finish
able to
ashes
get the
that he
dragon.
is really going
Brand's
to
on the
accelerate. So
opposite
once
side.
Zyra leads, might be able to turn that into a little bit more.
Well,
So both junglers are getting their blue buffs. Void grubs aren't up for a minute 30 seconds, so Brand is probably, it looks like he's staying on the Void grub side, maybe going to dive Gangplank. Gangplank's out of mana. I don't, of course, no. We forgot about Chovy's flash here, so I think maybe I got a slide of this. Yeah. So Chovy's flash is down. So these players know that and keep track of the times. I've made past VODs and content about this and have made you cards with all the times in minutes instead of seconds, or in seconds, because the game puts the time in minutes. So you have to, in your head, know math and know how many minutes are converted to seconds. And a lot of people can't do that in their head, where it seems like the Asian players can, and the American players can't.
There is the flash forward from Satap Chovy.
So you have to be able to convert seconds to minutes with the ultimate cooldowns.
Once again,
You can't guess because, I mean, maybe you can be off by like 5 seconds, but that can be a deciding thing at a Baron fight that
trouble. He is going to
decides a
realize
game.
the wave is more important than trying to stay alive, because that was never going to happen in First Blood. Once
So
again,
Yon gets a
goes down in
takedown
the way.
on Chovy. He was forced to get a call. I don't really think he wanted a call, but he didn't have any
Sponge finds
more
early
gold for
punches
anything else,
onto
so that
Chovy,
might
which
put
makes him
Chovy
play
behind a little
really
bit.
mid.
He is a Wind Brother enjoyer today.
Help
Really
him
is, and that's an early
trade with Yon. Now, the one thing about Brand is he seemed, and I tried him on the PBE server a week ago, he's weak until he gets this item, the Ashes Fade or Faded Ashes, whatever it's called. So Brand can't take the dragon or Void Grubs until he gets this item. So now Brand has this. Maybe he would want a control ward here that he doesn't have.
kill going to Yone when he also has the call. So Chovy obviously.
But it looks like Brand's
doesn't
going
want to be
towards the
outdone,
dragon
and also
side.
gets the call himself. As we take another look, just really nicely done by Satap. Here goes for the flash Q, meaning that Chovy doesn't really have a whole lot of response, and he was dead.
So Renekton gets solo taken down by Keen in the top lane.
Oh, so is Rascal.
Must have miscalculated the barrel crit. I know that Keen got level 6 right there when he thought that Keen was level 5. Like, I think he just got level 6 on that. Trying to look at the trade up top.
Doesn't want to be outdone and also picks up the call himself.
Yeah, I think it was a trade of level 6 who could get level 6 first in that trade. And maybe Rascal thought that he could get the ultimate off.
Oh, so is Rascal.
'Cause it looked like they were both level 5.
Gangplank versus Renekton. I imagine Rascal probably tried to kill Keen, and Keen said, nah.
So Rascal teleporting top. Seraphine teleporting bottom. Chovy's teleport is down.
I'm not okay with
yeah,
that.
okay, but like Rascal didn't use his ult and neither did Keen.
Huh.
So I don't know what happened.
So Maokai's starting the dragon.
Because The play on mid was so nicely done. It was just
DRX
well executed by
is-
Satep and Sponge. A little worried to what's
It's
gonna
gonna
happen
say
top
Brad
side
should
lead
be
play.
going
kinda
towards the
maybe we just don't
Void
need to-
Yeah,
Grubs.
let it go. Everyone, okay.
And Genji's showing their muscle right here. Just asking for a team fight from DRX. Leaving this ward, doing it on plain vision.
Everyone, when it comes in, we're just all gonna close our eyes.
Yeah.
Doing
and
the
if we-
dragon
It's
on
not
vision.
real if we don't see it.
Exactly. We just need to
This
like,
is a good
get,
ward spot
Kisan on, like,
here in the middle of the
like, get a
lane.
hotline so that we can be like, no, we don't need this.
So there we go. We got
we're
Brand
gonna
starting
have
up
a
the
look at this
Void
once again
Grubs.
as Rascal just walks straight into a parlay to the
But
knock.
now
That
DRX
was,
has to be
the
aware
Left
and
who
remember
does
that
have
Gangplank
the,
has a global
Sheen
ult that
up
he
and
can
available.
throw in.
Yeah, he is an accelerated Gangplank.
That really
He
helps
shouldn't have
team
been.
fights because you can stay in your lane and farm and help turn a team fight around with the Gangplank ult.
For Dragon take, so no shocker there. This is what we were talking about earlier. Although it's interesting that it's actually the Senna that is roaming more.
Senna had to roam and help with the Void Grubs and help Yone in the middle lane.
A little bit of a hit here, but yeah, it's on. You can't really.
I
go for
guess
a dive.
Gangplank's gonna get dove. Now he pretty much has like a double flash because of his W and his flash.
For Rascal here, pretty telegraphed on the gank.
So
Keen's gonna try and
Gangplank's
hold these
not
minions
so
as best
easy
he
to
can. Does
dive.
find the barrel, flashes underneath, and Rascal is dead once again.
Yeah, he's got like a double flash. I don't know why you'd try to dive a Gangplank. At least level 6 with the ultimate. I would think you need to
Yeah, and
dive him
Pace
before
gets the kill.
6.
So he's level 5.
All right,
I've done a lot of crazy plays like this in the top lane,
and Rascal is just gonna die.
where I flash over the turret and a
Yeah,
enemy, or if I'm getting dove, both the enemies get taken down by the turret.
Rascal's clearly not having the best of times here.
And
So
also
because the
Canyon
wave
was
is
there to
cleared, I
help
think he takes
Keen.
aggro earlier than he thought he would, because the wave isn't cleared right from the get-go, or so he thinks. I'm gonna take another look here. I really like this because obviously with the Ornn W,
So
you
Ornn
need to
gets
go for
dove,
an
but
E
costs
or for a
Leona's
Seraphino. The
life.
wind-up is so big that it's really easy for Ornn to counterplay it. Not gonna be the case. That does mean that, you know, Blada's gonna be able to TP back to the wave. This isn't some...
Jovial should have steel plate cap boots soon, which will help in the trades against Yone.
Is still nice. He will be the sole AP source on his team, and Seraphine's damage consistently.
Renekton's
when you get
gonna
down is
be
quite
behind
high.
because
But
Keen
it's
gets a
not,
12-minute
you know,
Trinity
the level
Force,
of
which is
something
really
like a
ridiculous,
brand,
and he
something
got
like the
those
Ziggs. It is a lot more
takedowns
offset
himself, is
DPS
what's
as opposed
even
to
more
burst.
ridiculous. So here is a pretty crazy ult from Canyon that Maokai has this long of a range with his ult.
As well as in comes the Nature's Grasp. This is a Leona and Maokai, but
I don't think there was anything really to analyze or
Will
slide.
hit those high notes as well, and Pletter is definitely going to be dead. That's another one in pretty quick succession here.
So Pei's getting ahead. He's got 2
Really
takedowns.
getting punished.
Very nicely on the back Canyon, showing why the Maokai
And
is
he's
so
even
high on
with
the
Ornn
Genji priority
CS.
list.
We're ahead
Most
now.
priority lists,
Yeah,
to
but
be
I think
honest.
Also, another thing, well, both supports have their support items, so that's really hard to do with solo queue as well, to get the support item at 8 minutes.
the most other
Once you get that, you can start roaming around and putting wards around.
Sejuani over Maokai.
That might have been what was going on with
Maybe
Senna earlier that I wasn't paying
Yeah.
attention.
More Peanut.
He's a bit of a tree fan.
He well, both in terms of tree, but also as in tree as in try, because he just plays free champion, which is
That's true.
Maokai, Vi, and Sejuani.
He has nothing to prove as
So, Dragon up in 2
far as
minutes,
champion goes, so he
and
just doesn't really care
Well, he
about it.
plays other stuff.
trying to
just
wait
don't
on
like
this
it after.
overlay to go away. 1 minute and 19
Fair to
seconds
say,
on the
Peanut
Void
has been one
Grubs.
of the most
So I would say
decorated
this is
junglers
why
in the
both the
game.
junglers are
At the
up top.
of his game, particularly
Genji's not going to allow
not to mention too much, but I might be in
DRX to
trouble
take
again.
more
Yeah,
objectives.
Beatrop does manage to get the snare, and that means that Lehens can come on over. Gets the flash out from Pletter here. Soul Flare avoided. Definitely a good.
Lehen's problem there was he was out of mana to probably
I think he always
dive.
had to, but Plata not getting the timing right on the double
Ornn
there.
again, I mean his
Ace
ultimate was down as well.
Slow was a little unfortunate. That's no flash. We'll be able to. get
Gangplank
something else
allows
instead.
more vision because of
We
his
take
barrels. You
and
can
trying
put
to just wave
barrels in the side
the
brushes
Canyon
and
notes
have
come through.
vision.
He hits both, so Teddy also has to cleanse.
Yeah.
There, yeah, the moment Pace arrives, Plata knows he's very, very dead. Not a lot of counterplay to that one.
Nope. And the Kitty Cat's doing a fair bit of work there as well. So really, really excellent play from Canyon. Just showing that Nature's Grasp is one of the dumbest ultimate.
So, I don't know why Atlas says it's one of the dumbest ultimates. He's a tree with roots. It used to be really ridiculous back in the day with the area where it like absorbed damage or negated damage. So Lehen's Seraphine's doing so well bottom. This allows Lehen's to roam and create pressure where Senna may not. I don't know where Senna's supposed to go at this point. I was gonna say I guess she needs to stay with Ornn to keep him safe, but they've got the support items, so that's when you start roaming. So, you know, you got the Void Grubs.
It's in the video game, so providing all of that setup, working very well. And now, I mean, Rascal's life was already really hard.
10 seconds on the Void Grubs. So Senna comes up here. It looks like she puts a ward down. I don't know if that was the Scuttle Crab.
Absurdly strong. You're looking at these CS numbers and you're like, well, it's pretty
Because
even
it's
now,
looking
but
like
it's not.
DRX have both Scuttle Crabs,
Makes
but I
extra
don't know if that's a
money, gets
ward.
little doubloons. And it's just... And now Canyon's even in the top lane. This is like Keen's
Yeah,
day
it's a
out.
ward. So Senna came up here and put a ward down for the Void Grubs. I don't think I need to make a slide about it. I just wanted to...
Is it his birthday? Like, he's just having the greatest time on one of his
And
favorite games.
it looks like we're going to have a team fight, or Genji's going to come in here and disallow DRX from getting all the Void Grubs. This also costs Satab's teleport, which I don't think was too smart, because this may cost them on... Like, to me, this may be like a fake fight that Genji's playing, because their ultimate plan is to take the dragon. So Yone used his teleport here, where he may need it at the Dragon Pit. Genji, like Gangplank, Seraphine, their teleports will be up in a few minutes when the dragon's up. Or
Want to flash, but he's gonna have to.
does cost Maokai his flash though.
Out of there, pays with the extra time. He's gonna head down towards the bottom side of Satab, going in onto Lehans, who presses W. And
So unfortunately, Yone's not Yasuo. He can't
No, but he was nerfed.
all right, yeah.
ult multiple targets.
Chronicler, the Eclipse is still busted.
I know, I was joking.
Oh. Trade
Good time to take out Maokai because he just used his flash. So DRX invest all of their stuff. That's what you need to do there.
Indeed that for Canyon, if trees do in fact breathe, as Chovy does utilize a very nice phosphorus bomb, as Satab's gonna have to go back.
There was a play where I know Satab, maybe it's later in the game, where he teleported. I think it's later on, and it cost them the game because he teleports to a turret to save it, but then Genji get the Dragon Soul. So I was wrong about Satab teleporting right there. And DRX get the Dragon, and this puts Genji behind by 5 minutes. Also, Ornn will have his teleport up very soon. So the next fight is the Void Grubs in 2 minutes. Again, you're trying to get 100 CS at 10 minutes.
Well now, Pay's taking a lot of damage there from Satab, as we can see.
He doesn't have a
I
shield.
mean, even Freak used to like preach this a long time ago. So Gangplank is there, Corki is there,
perfectly
Seraphine.
adequate. Not great, but not a liability
he's
either.
been fine, but he hasn't been winning the games.
He has not.
As this was just exactly.
Lahin's
what
blocks
Spencer
Sponge,
comes
so
with
he
his
can't
composition. This
do
phosphorus bomb
anything.
does a lot of damage, but no real chance of any answer. And Lahin's has to flash to avoid Satab, who does get stunned by this Shield of Daybreak. Any sort of follow-up.
But at this
As
point,
his
you want to be
mana outside,
120.
he does have a Trinity Force
And
now
that's
completed.
why these AP
This is
junglers, they
where
can
he is
almost
again
keep
playing
up as a
the
laner
LCK for a
and
very long
farm.
time. Often we do see
Brands right there with Seraphine and Renekton.
but often we see the Gangplanks get punished, and DRX really have not had any interest in punishing Gangplank whatsoever.
So I would say Jin Ji,
outside of,
they're
I guess, the attempt, but
planning to
that's
take
been
this
more
Rift
than-
Herald in
It's-
40
yeah,
seconds, so
that definitely shouldn't have happened.
minus
It's again
Gangplank,
also
you know,
the
Leona's up here,
pressure
Seraphine's up here,
by
Maokai's up here.
the rest of
Corki will
Gen G
probably
being
roam
so
up here
hard, 'cause
soon.
Realistically, what you want to do, as you're saying, particularly when you have something like Renekton as well as Brand, this Satab. Oh, he knows.
Oh dear. Canyon takes the long
Senna
journey.
is
There's
roaming
the flash.
alone,
That was
which
very
might
weird.
not be a good
Satab
thing
able to
because
flash
she,
out of the way the
I mean,
encore.
she does have a
That is
root
going to be
and the
5 for
mist.
now. I really like Canyon's intentional use of that unbound soul from Satab.
But what I'm saying
It was
is,
good flash
normally
for
like the
himself out of
jungler
it.
and support need to be working together to get vision.
So nicely done.
But I do see Brands around Teddy now.
Satab, him having to use his flash stars obviously in
I guess he's also not the normal support. He's playing support in this game.
Bounty ends up going to pace, and he gets further accelerated.
So the
Already
Rift
hard
Herald's
to
live.
On the one item, you don't really do that much. As mentioned, Seraph's is a one item
Don't
spike.
know
And
why
Black
Gen
Lobster,
G backed off this.
DRX now, that was
Um,
a decent investment from Gen G, and they're like,
Maybe the power of the Senna Ornn right here,
But to
right
be fair,
now.
if this goes to late, I think we all know, regardless of draft and regardless of Yone and Senna,
Brand might be on a higher power
Okay,
spike. He's got the Leandries. He got the Blade of the Rune
they're
King.
making moves, Atlas,
But you
and
got two Trinity Forces on Gen
Managed to
G.
get their hands on a
Like,
Hex Exile, they win the game.
I guess the Gangplank, the
I don't think
Corki, they
will
don't
be
hit
able to do
their
that,
real
but
power
I
spike
think
until
again,
they're on
it's
two
certainly going to
items.
be very, very good. All right, Gen G,
Even though Gangplank had his Trinity Force really early.
Away from his turret and is now dead. I feel like if he had a fought with the turret there, as never mind, Dawning Shadow comes down to keep them alive. He gets out of the cannon barrage, gets so much value. There's the flash. The slice and dice doesn't quite get there. The parlay is going to kill the Renekton, and the inner turret stays standing here. Pleta will get some damage on that mid turret, but man, Rascal actually getting a whole lot more value than I was expecting out of that play.
if they got the topside turret, that actually would have been a good trade, right? If they got the inner as well.
So we got Yone teleporting bottom to get the wave. Again, you don't want to waste CS, waste the XP and the gold, which in solo queue you see a lot of waves just crashing each other, wasting XP and gold.
I think he loses harder in a 1v1. But because he can get
Even Leona was there and recalled because she wasn't needed. She's needed elsewhere. Look at all this vision that Gen G have.
Level 11, those empowered Qs on two people are almost enough, but then Keen here, crucially, he doesn't get the second slice or an extra auto. Keen's flash
see.
denied.
A little late now.
Could have been the difference makers. Oh no.
Oh god, okay, I think he might be dead again. Parlay comes
So,
through. Chovy's
Rascal
got down
is
gold
getting
left,
tilted by
Swan
Gen
across
G.
out.
He just
Then
keeps
play
getting
this
caught
is
out.
there's full vision 'cause of the phosphorus bomb.
So if it
And,
works,
Chovy's able to lock
it's
down
not
the
broken,
zero,
why
zero,
fix it?
4,
So
0
they
now
get
for
Rascal yet again.
Starting to feel
He didn't
bad
have a
for him.
flash.
It was pretty
That
horrendous
looks
in
better.
the early
I
game.
needed to
That last
tone
V2
the
attempt was
thickness
really,
of
really
my
nice. But
pen
now
just
he
a little
is-
bit,
he is
so that looks much
definitely
better.
just like a wallet or a handbag or something. It's not the
And so
crocodile
you
that
want
you're
to
scared of.
take all the enemies farm away, like you see Corki down here getting that camp and getting this wave, and they'll probably back off and not push this turret.
Kasante, you know, the game also becomes really hard.
Alright, there's an ulti from Satab. Unbinds the soul, gets caught out. There's the
Problem
unfold
with
Satab.
Yone
Just
is he
gonna say
could
no to that
hit
one.
multiple
Nature's
targets
Flash
and do
jumps
that
up through,
stuff,
lands
but
onto multiple
not
members
when
of
you're
DRX.
1 versus
As
3.
now Canyon
Doesn't
gets into the
work.
brush, doesn't find the bramble smash. Oh, he gets
1
the
versus 1 he
full
works.
heal, and Teddy gets baited in. It is going to be Pleta able to lock down that kill eventually, but the cannon barrage will get the flash out from the center, and the
Ouch.
rocket
Chovy
is
gets
still going
Senna.
to kill him. Big overinvestment there for DRX.
So-
Now able to get Canyon. I just don't think it's worth it.
I think
We've got 31.6k gold to 30.2k gold. We got the dragon up. Genji is missing the person they need, the champion they need, their jungler, to have the smite to secure into what could be a double smite on DRX.
And Chovy are still here, so approaching is very much easier said than done.
So Genji can't take the dragon until they have Maokai.
Yeah,
Never mind, it's not happening.
What 5v5? What's that? Is Lance? He wants to do even more. Throws out the solar flare because he may as well.
Now I don't know why
as we know,
Canyon's doing the wolf
flash.
camp.
I think he should flash,
I was
like
gonna
now.
say, looked like he was gonna do the blue buff too, but he doesn't take the blue and comes down to secure the dragon. So Genji will have 2 dragons now. Again, there's the formula where you can get 4 dragons, not exactly at 20 minutes, probably 25 minutes, because it takes a minute to take down the dragon, and but you can close out the game in 20-25 minutes, getting the dragon soul around 20 minutes. You know, probably more like 24-25 by all the time it takes to take the dragons down.
An expected one. I think that Seraphine benefits so much from Rabadon's that you kind of want 3 items.
So Chovy's on his power spike. He's got his 2 items before 20 minutes. Keen's finally got his 2 items now. Finally. I mean, most people get this after 20 minutes. Seraphine's on her 2 items. So really, Genji's just waiting on Maokai to finish his 2nd item, and then they can safely take the Baron off the map and perhaps close out the game. But they won't have the Dragon Soul yet. We're looking more like 30 minutes.
I'm glad we cut that video, as Lehens takes a fair bit of damage. The Solar Flare not really doing too much, but the Nature's Grasp comes on.
So that Maokai ult was more of a disengage, so Genji can get away safely. And Satab has looked really good in this series. He's playing against Chovy. Now it is Corki, after all. Like maybe Chovy's bored of Corki and just trolling in these games. Who knows? So Chovy's flash is down. Canyon's flash is down. Keen's about to have flash up. Seraphine's teleport is down. Satab's teleport is down. His flash is down. Rascal's teleport is down. Teddy's flash and cleanse are down.
We're going to see the teleport in from Satab. This guy is playing out of his mind, man. Yeah. Why hasn't he been playing all year? And we know why, because he
he's
didn't
looked really good in this series.
Hitting his stride where it was, and it's almost over, but beautifully done.
But he also had help of the Renekton stun right there.
Even in DRX challengers was always notoriously fickle, where he could
Who had to? Somebody had to flash
This is what I was talking about. Pays actually does a
on
lot
DRX to miss those abilities.
Fight if Sponge and Teddy are full health and part of the equation. Maybe Pays ends up going down.
So we're waiting on Maokai to get his Randuins.
Satab was already a swingy player, and I think in the LCK you could clearly see that
Looks like DRX is gonna get Genji's blue buff, but it looks like maybe Genji's gonna get DRX's blue buff. Genji's also gonna get a turret here.
But it's gotta feel good to come in after
So the Baron's up. I mean, Genji could probably take the Baron right now if they wanted to. We'll get to see the item difference when you have the 2 items on all your carries, how the Baron just gets melted. We all know, like, you're in solo queue, you try to take an early Baron, it feels like it takes like 5 minutes to take the Baron down. Where, like I talk about in my streams and content, what the pro teams are doing, at least in the LCK, their target windows to try to get the 2 items in 20 minutes and then take the Baron, so you can securely melt it down. So Yone's on his 2 items, Brand's on his 2 items, now Rascal's a little bit behind.
So I think that would be a decent buy.
Yeah, getting the armor shred, that's the main thing.
Yeah,
Sure, Lehens will have Warmogs. Ornn's got his 2 items.
Yeah, no, of course.
Senna's got his 2 items.
For something that shreds armor, he'll be perfectly fine.
Sponge, he shreds the jungle. That is definitely a thing. 1-0
So
three,
Satab
bit of a quiet achiever.
is getting into
Does
the
have
realm where
quite
he
a
might
fight
get caught
about
out
a
down
whole lot
here because he doesn't
on
have
the Yone.
Flash,
What's gonna happen at some point.
and he's
Genji is gonna, like,
overextended because
start
Genji
fighting
owned
direct,
like this
haste
much of
them
the
into
map.
game. I don't want that to happen, Atlas. I think it'd be really cool if DRX
So I think it, but it's
somehow
more
finds
like
crazy, even just one game.
when
Again,
they're
Genji
doing
haven't
this,
lost
they
a lot of
want
those either.
Genji to come
on
try to
one.
take
Oh boy, there it is.
Yone
Baron
down in this
started up.
situation.
Yeah.
So
And
City doesn't have TP.
Genji go for Baron. They know they can.
And,
Satab doesn't have teleport. They know this stuff.
And so Nature's Grasp is going to come down. They're going to look for the turn here.
So Yone can't do anything here. So it's 4 versus 5.
Off to the side, sort of by himself. Trophy's going to get snagged. The Yone is still pushing the
May even
side
get to
lane.
where Gangplank
And
will
so they're gonna
teleport here
back
because
away
they've
after losing
securely
their
got the
jungle, and they're
Baron.
gonna give up Baron, but they're going to get an inner turret, ladies and gentlemen. And inner turrets are worth some gold. And Genji are
Then
gonna
you'll also have the
what
dragon
the inner
up.
turrets are worth after taking down this Baron and utilizing it to push. Looking for the empowered backs. Teddy does stop a couple of them, but I think there's enough here to stop any sort of follow-up. Canyon does put the Ranuans together. There's a rapid-fire cannon. And Trophy makes his way
So
back
really
lane.
DRX
That's a heal
needs to
investment
go
just to make sure that they can get
contest
out
this
of the
dragon
situation.
from Genji right here, and I don't think there's anything they can do. They're 44, they're almost 45k gold to 43k.
Yeah, without his TP, he was just never going to be able to join. So pushing
They're
the right call, if
about
he
a
goes
K
in, he's not gonna
behind.
get anything. Obviously,
Maokai's got his
one of the
Randuins now.
was that he was the one in that side lane
Chovy's
pushing
on
up.
his 3
How do you feel
items.
about-
Against Genji.
How do you feel about Soul Point?
Renekton still needs his second item to be able to begin the team fight Genji.
Really any downsides to having a lot of dragons and setting up a very pace. He's going for Rylai's next.
So Genji just need one more dragon and he'll have the soul and should be able to close out the game with the next Dragon Soul and Baron.
It's the guaranteed snare.
Yeah, and you also have the possibility of a stun. I think it's fine. I would prefer a more damage-heavy build, but let's be honest. It's very obvious that Genji is not lacking for damage, as we saw an attempt from DRX to do something. Is look, Keen just has LDR now.
Oh, okay.
Bought that.
Okay.
Keen has his teleport, so he can apply pressure wherever he wants over here. That's why you don't see him down here. He's got the ultimate as well, but he'll probably apply pressure in this lane or this lane, which causes confusion on teams where to go.
Gonna have to flash. There's a cannon barrage that he's now going to spend some time in. Has to cleanse the Encore immediately, and Zenith Blade is going to be the end.
Maokai ult does a lot of work for diving. Big fan of Maokai. He's one of my favorite champions.
Goes down, and Genji are not stopping anytime soon. The Gangplank is now going to get ulted on here as Keen could be
Big play out of Satab right here to solo takedown Keen that had 4 takedowns. So that was a big play. And it also cost Keen his ultimate. So I don't think Keen was expecting that much aggression. And that put Genji behind where they might have been able to close this game out. So that was a big play. I mean, Satab, we want to see more out of him if he can play like this.
And he just bought the IE, so his back is going to be feeling great.
Now, was this a fluke day where he played like this?
They're cutting some corners. A lot invested here.
Maybe put in Frog.
But trying to dive this turn when they can play it a little bit more slow. Probably didn't have to Lahens. Why is he there? It's just Lahens.
Let's check out Satab here. Exactly how to get it done.
야, 나 미드 이거 커버로 할게. 아, 오케이, 오케이.
And
아니,
he's
우리
like,
세나
mid.
집이야.
I'll go
As I call Yone, Yo-Yo. Like he reminds me of a yo-yo.
range ulti. Gorgeously done. And this play just avoids
But Yone's ult doesn't
man.
His angles
work
are
into
good.
multiple
Actually,
targets,
back to
right?
back, he's really gone
Like
for
Yasuo, so potentially Yasuo can do a lot more damage
this one was
overall.
just over the wall,
Seraphine's
right? So
on her
Keen doesn't
Rylai's
see
crystal, so
wind up
3
animation, only
items,
sees it
3.5
once, it's a little bit
items,
closer in, then
2.5
earlier the position of
items,
Chovy.
3.5 items.
A really good game of Yone.
Renekton finally has his Sterix gauge.
It's the good news
He's
story.
about
Of course, Genji
5
will
minutes
have the,
behind here.
2,000
Oh, this is the...
looking to try
Is this the play I was talking about? There was a play where Satab or somebody on Genji. Maybe it was Pleta. Yeah, this is the play that cost DRX perhaps this game. It's like bait from Genji because he may need this in another 2 minutes to take the dragon. This is one of the game deciding plays right here. Like this pretty much gives Genji this game.
There is no more Baron left available. I think it is going to be next on the menu, but look at our synced up timers. Baron and Hextech Soul.
Yone has his QSS to help survive. He's got a Horn augmented Infinity Edge. I don't think... I mean, Maokai does a lot of work there, saving Keen's life. He also has the orange or cure scurvy. Gangplank's pretty strong because he's got slows with barrels that do huge damage, a great poke in his Q, he can heal, he can remove CC. I think DRX have to make a play here, so they go all in. And the Gangplank does a lot of work to disengage DRX. So ults can be used to engage or disengage to keep you from losing a team fight so your teammates can get out of there safely. Maybe a concept that some of you solo queue players need to learn. Disengage. So the dragon's up in a minute and 14 seconds. I would think DRX need to start heading over this way.
I would assume yes.
I wouldn't want Genji to get the Dragon Soul here.
Setab is 100% the right call. We knew that he had it in him as
Yeah.
A phenomenal investment for DRX for the future.
Yeah, Plata also, I think, has been very consistent in setting up these plays, right? The previous plays were a lot of Setab. This one was mostly just Ornn pressing his ultimate. I do like
so Corki's also on an Infinity Edge.
They're going to be forced into a very unfun decision here.
He's having a much better game this time into Yone instead of Yasuo.
I'm pretty sure is actually a very big threat.
But it wasn't just Setab. There was a lot of work from other laners roaming in, the jungler to help Setab in the last game. But we've seen glimpses of a player that can lane against Chovy and do alright.
Literally everyone but Lahens is just salivating.
So this is where
and I think you could probably leave
DRX, and here's another teleport from Setab coming to the Baron where they need to be stopping Genji from getting this dragon. Ornn, I think, needs his teleport here.
There are some souls where you can do this, right?
So Genji's like, sure, take the Baron. It doesn't matter.
This Hextech soul is the best soul in the game. It's absolutely absurd.
They didn't need to worry about Baron here. They needed to prevent Genji from getting the Dragon Soul.
Keen, yeah. Cannon Barrage can do it globally. And it doesn't even necessarily need it because he's so fed. A Baron.
Not that far behind.
So just fast forwarding a little bit.
And this year is a little.
I don't even think a lot of you watch the games all the way through. You just skip through the exciting stuff.
This time around, I don't
So I'm trying to show you things maybe you don't pay attention to. So Maokai makes a great flash play right here and catching Brand out. I wanted to be in bed about a couple hours ago, I still need to make some type of dinner before I go to bed, but it's alright. It's part of pushing myself to the next level.
In goes Canyon, finds Bramble Smash there as well. Sponge is really dead.
So that may have been the game decider right there, catching out the Brand.
Satap gets into that backline. That is so much AoE damage as they finally take down Canyon. It's sort of given up on him. And Trade of Jungle is here as now Rascal goes
Keen
in.
uses his
Solar Flare is
flash,
fantastic, but the double knockup from Pletter is also
but he's,
good
you know,
still.
Gangplank basically has double flash. Seraphine can heal. Keen can heal. Got the Dragon Soul. I think the Hex Tech gives you heal or regen too, right? So they've got pretty crazy healing. So I think that's game.
Going that far into
Chovy
specifically a Seraphine,
teleports
I don't
into the
think
top
it's
lane and
so.
pushes it out.
It's the
Keen's pushing out the mid lane.
Maokai, which
And it looked like somebody might be pushing the
fire
bottom
many
lane out
times.
as well.
And yes, Sponge dies, but look
Even
at the
though
ultimate damage he still
Seraphine
does.
can't really do that
And on
well.
top of that, we have Teddy again.
Maybe she can. I don't know how well she farms CS or
Right here. Because as you
farms
say,
waves.
Satap was there, but he wasn't in the position to actually
There
do
used to
any
be a
damage.
meta
And
where
you're
you
falling
played
into a choke
AP
point. The
mids,
Seraphine Wiveled still up.
even bottom, that just wave clear with their abilities, and you just
Basically blows out the game.
stand there all day clearing wave after wave after wave
Valiant effort from
till you get
DRX,
like
but
5 or 6
one
items.
mistake. That's really all they. Although I honestly thought the Nexus was going to be pushed, but they did kill a couple of members, so it's not technically over yet.
Yeah, and there's no like heal deny or anything like that for the Seraphine.
Baron
So I
in
think
3
they had the
minutes.
right idea by diving onto Pays, but Pays is like, look, he's got 4 items. Like he's.
I think that
Pays is, like,
the
had the
Phosphorus
right
Bomb might
idea
even allow
by
vision
diving
on.
onto Pays, but Pays is like, look,
Oh,
he's
never
got
mind. I was
4
like, does
items.
it allow vision on
Like,
the
he's
ward as well? That you
absolutely
could clear it out?
gigantic, 206. And so he presses
So that's
W.
OP.
And of course he's not gonna die.
So poor Rascal's
He's surrounded
on
by
3
so many
items
teammates
where
at the same
Keen's
time.
on 4 items, 4.5.
Yeah, this Gen G are very, very scary. Oh, the Cannon Barrage, absolutely massive.
Horn gets caught in the Maokai ult. Brand gets caught in the Maokai ult. It's like just watching a train on like a cartoon character on like Looney Tunes that watches a train come at them and they don't jump or move or anything and then it hits them. That's what the Maokai ult's like. It's like you see it coming towards you and you can move, but you just stand there scared.
Mid lane just to clear out that wave. Stop that one from being an avenue, but
Corky's got some crazy healing. Now Brand did a good thing getting the Oblivion Orb here to help cut down the Warmog's healing, and Seraphine's got healing, and Gangplank's got healing. Maybe they needed more Bramble Vest and Executioner's Calling on somebody. Cut down the healing.
But they are going to win the game, so I'd say that trade is pretty worth it. Solar Flare just slows up absolutely everyone. Rascal's going to fall, Lance might go down, but so is Teddy, and so is the Nexus.
So that's it for match number, what is it, 71? And man, if I didn't have so much trouble today, I would do some more, but I don't know if I'll do a VOD review tomorrow or what. I'm planning to do whatever G2 do this weekend. I know it's into Mad Lions. I was wanting to do the BDS series, but I don't even know if people would be interested, and it's going to take a long time to do that. So Gen G win in 33 or 34 minutes basically, which again, I give you the notes. I'll put it in the link on the VOD reviews. But that's it for today, everybody. Thank you for turning into the next level with Sodaron, and I'll see you next time, and I'll leave you with an outro song.
I see is mine. I think we're gonna hit disaster. Just give me one more try. Suffocation. Everything I see is mine. I think we're gonna hit disaster. Just give me one more try. And the moon came out on that gloomy night. Her face was full of pleasure, his was full of delight. And the clock struck 12, she was out of sight. They still love each other, all they could do was fight. Suffocation, everything I see is mine. I think we're gonna hit disaster, just give me one more try. Suffocation, everything I see is mine. I think we're gonna hit disaster, just give me one more try. Suffocation, everything I see is mine. I think we're gonna hit disaster, just give me one more try. Suffocation, everything I see is mine. I think we're gonna hit disaster, just give me one more try.